Here in the Heartland, the tradition and history is rich for short track open wheel racing. And 35 miles east of Des Moines, Iowa, you'll find the world's fastest short track, and again today, the fastest open wheel oval cars on the planet. And the Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend is much more than racing. It's a full-on festival, including 4 headline musical acts. Welcome to IndyCar Live, presented by Liberty Mutual. And the Hy-Vee salutes a Farmers 300 from Newton, Iowa. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Kevin Lee, and for Lee Diffie, who you'll see later tonight on NBC at the World Track and Field Championships, along with Townsend Bell and 2-time Iowa winner James Hinchcliffe. Well, we're not that far. Chicago is just about 4 hours east of here. So let's think of Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks, and let's play 2 towns in a doubleheader. Yesterday was fun.
Oh yeah, it was, and there are so many points to grab this weekend. Just like the Indy 500, that pays double points, but 2 races at Iowa, also the same amount of points on offer. This is the fastest short track in the world. It's also the bumpiest short track in the world. The drivers were hanging onto their race cars all day yesterday. Joseph Newgarden came in as the favorite. He didn't disappoint, winning his 4th time here at Iowa. You won here twice, though. It's tough in the cockpit.
It is tough. The action was hot on track, but the temperatures were hot inside the race cars. 99-degree ambient temperatures, probably closer to 120 for the drivers in the cockpit, and they had to prepare for today as well. 50-lap longer race today. We saw drivers getting IVs, drivers taking ice baths, doing whatever they could to prepare their bodies for an extra 50 laps. Luckily, it's about 20 degrees cooler today. That's going to help, but we could see some drivers start to struggle about mid-race here.
So Joseph Newgarden gets it done yesterday. 4th time he's won at Iowa Speedway. He continues to be dominant, and now the championship gets just a little bit tighter. He's within 15 of Marcus Ericsson, and look at that. The top 5 are separated by 38 points. Let's hear from yesterday's winner. Joseph Newgarden is with Dave Burns.
And Kevin, that was a nice close-up for Joseph Newgarden, moving up to 15 only behind in the championship. But to pull off the double, even with these nice conditions, how can you get it done? How tough will it be?
It's going to be really tough. You know, I'm a big believer that, you know, past success does not mean future success. And I thought about that coming into this weekend, and I feel the same way after race 1. You know, we had a great day. Our car was where it needed to be. Always proud of our team, the Hitachi Team Chevy car. It was in the window. Today's window may be different. It's a little cooler. You know, we've tried to make some adjustments for that, but it's hard to get it right all the time. You know, we're guessing a little bit on what's going to be happening going into today. I think we're going to be a lot more savvy after that first stint, but we got to be on it all day.
Good luck today. By the way, Dylan, today was a day when we actually wanted to open the windows. It's nice here.
It is. It's beautiful today. This guy, Jimmy Johnson, was a big part of the show yesterday, made some big, brave moves in the 3rd lane, the outside groove, and it was exciting to watch, to say the least. I know it was fun for you behind the wheel. You said that this weekend was big for you because you get 1 race, you get to sleep on it and come back the next day and apply what you learned. What did you learn yesterday? How confident do you feel today?
Yeah, I feel really good about things today. Got a new livery on the car with the American Legion Be the One. Gave my Carvana car a great ride yesterday, and honestly, I feel like on new tires, this place drove a lot like Bristol does in a Cup car, with the aggression and just how quick things happen, and really how you need to chase the edge of the black where the marbles are. I do feel like I did show a lot of people the lane, and I'm sure they studied up overnight. I'm not sure if I'll have the exact same lanes to work with, but we've made some changes to our car. We fell off a little harder than we needed to at the end on that 83-lap run, but I learned a ton, having a great time. It was a blast yesterday racing in one of these race cars around here, and really enjoyed it.
All right, Jimmy going to try and do a couple spots better today, and he'll roll from 13th this afternoon.
Thanks, Dylan. Townsend, what did you make of what Jimmy was able to do yesterday?
Well, it was confidence all around from Jimmy Johnson. Like he said, I think he felt right at home, like at Bristol in a stock car, but he was flirting with the ragged edge up high. He wasn't 2nd lane up, he was 3rd, sometimes 4th lane up in the light gray stuff where the marbles can accumulate. His race team was cheering him on, telling him he was going to make the highlight film. We were nervous for him up here. James was frantically trying to text his spotter saying, hey, he's gonna wreck if he keeps doing it.
But he didn't. He did a great job. And guys, this is a tough physical racetrack on a good day, regardless of the temperature. The G-forces you experience here, Townsend, unlike anywhere else. It's a short track, high bank corners. We're going to ride on board here with Pato Awards. You're going to see 3.5 sustained Gs in the corners. At 3.5 Gs, the human lungs can't expand, so you got to hold your breath now. Going into turn 3, you're balancing the race car. As you come to the exit, you open your hands, that force relaxes, you can breathe on the front straight, you get a couple breaths, maybe make an adjustment to the car, try and talk to the crew. You have 3 to 4 seconds on the straightaway, and then you're holding your breath again back down into the corner.
Look at the grid, it's already packed here today. A chance to do it again, and we've already seen one concert today. This was yesterday, getting things going. Tim McGraw had everybody's hands in the air in nearly 100-degree temperatures, and then after the race, Florida-Georgia line. That was a good show, and so much more coming up today. IndyCar Live is presented by Liberty Mutual. Only pay for what you need. Race fans all season long, grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on the screen now for a chance to win $25,000 from Hy-Vee. Scan the code and register at Hy-Veedeals.com for your chance to take home the big prize. Well, the party has already started on day 2 of the Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend. Gwen Stefani has played right below us, and there's still more coming up. Blake Shelton after the race. Hy-Vee has helped bring in the headliners and others, including someone with Dave Burns I think we're all very familiar with.
Oh, Kevin, fans know him from Stage Screen, Compact Disc, and Gourmet Burgers. That is Mark Wahlberger here with CEO of Hy-Vee, Randy Edeker. And there's a relationship here that a lot of people don't know, Mark. What about that?
Randy has been an amazing partner with me for a very long time, not only in Wahlburgers and performance-inspired nutrition, in Flecha Azul, so many things, but he's also been somebody I consider a mentor, has taught me quite a bit. He's an amazing partner, an amazing businessman, an amazing friend.
Being around all this, you want to make it your next flick be something in the racing side?
We have something that's been in the works for quite some time with an amazing director, so that could be a possibility, yes.
Stay tuned. Kevin could be coming up for Mark Wahlberg.
Thank you, Dave. And our view here is pretty good, but the view from the open-air Hy-Vee suites might be better. We're not far away as Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend from Iowa Speedway continues on NBC. It's a doubleheader with the NTT IndyCar Series, the Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend. We're going to do it again. It's time to head downstairs for opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Iowa National Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as North Point Church Pastor Jeremy Carr offers today's invocation.
God, we pause before you on this glorious day to ask for your favor and to thank you for all of your blessings. Thank you for the great state of Iowa, which is more than corn and hogs, but not less. We thank you at this Hy-Vee Salute the Farmers 300 for the farmers that feed us, that work long hours, that depend on you to make it rain and cause their crops to grow. Bless them and the fruit of their labor. Continue to provide. Today we thank you that Iowa is also IndyCars, country music, and people enjoying the goodness of your creation and the ingenuity that human hands have brought about. Keep these drivers and pit crews safe. Watch over the safety team and track workers. Protect us all in this competition. May we enjoy it because you are good and have allowed us to live, breathe, and experience something so incredible. We look to you. We ask for your blessing upon us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome winner of American Idol Season 16, Maddie Poppy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red still there? Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
And that means we're nearly ready to go. Indy Live is brought to you by Liberty Mutual. Only pay for what you need. The NTT IndyCar Series is in the middle of a very busy stretch. Third straight weekend coming up next weekend, and it includes NASCAR. We're back at the Brickyard again on the road course. IndyCar races on Saturday, the Xfinity Series right after, both on NBC, starting at noon, and then the Cup Series on Sunday. Will Power won IndyCar, Austin Cindric won Xfinity, and AJ Allmendinger, former IndyCar driver, won on Sunday last year in the Cup race. Should be fun again coming up next Sunday. We're ready to go almost here at Iowa. Down to the grid for more stories. We start with Dave Burns.
Kevin, yesterday Scott McLaughlin had a very fast Chevrolet underneath him, but unfortunately a pit road error sent him to the rear. He was never able to recover. Scott said, I felt like we had a podium locked in. He feels like he has the same kind of speed today. Race number 2 at Iowa. Dylan?
And Dave, it was such a promising start to the weekend yesterday for Connor Daly after qualifying third for both races, but it quickly turned sour as Connor's car really struggled to keep grip in the tires at the end of each stint in the race. Good news is the Ed Carpenter Racing team had a night to digest race number 1, and they had a teammate in Rinus VeeKay who finished 4th yesterday, so they've taken what Rinus learned, applied it to the 20 car, and today they think Connor can deliver a result to match the pace that they had earlier in the weekend.
Yes, it's the same race in some ways as yesterday, but very different. The starting order is jumbled up, the conditions are much different, and we're about ready. The command is coming up next from Iowa Speedway. It's the Hy-Vee-Deals.com 250. Let's go from Iowa.
Picture perfect start up front for Team Penske.
4 wide down the front straight.
Caution is out. Johnson has trouble.
Did Jimmy Johnson just spin and not hit a wall again?
Again.
Joseph Newgarden into turn 1 is got by Will Power.
Jimmy Johnson is crushing it right now. He's going to have to be careful with moves like that.
That's nice. You having fun? Yeah, it's a blast.
Felix Rosenquist
just loses the rear on the bump.
So free.
And Ed Carpenter crashing.
Patrick Ward now all over Will Power for second.
Stay patient, man. You got a much better car at this stage.
There it goes.
Win number 4 in the season. Win number 4 at Iowa. Joseph Newgarden wins the first half of the Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend doubleheader.
All right, 1 down. Check that box.
After a thrilling 250-lap NTT IndyCar Series race yesterday, we'll run it back today and add 50 laps. It's the Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300 from Iowa Speedway. Thanks for joining us on NBC Sports. Kevin Lee, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe. Townsend first, what did you make of yesterday, and how does that impact today?
Well, there was some incredible driving out there as everybody was hanging on to their race cars. Didn't matter who you were, at some point you were struggling with the balance, but I love the creativity out of Jimmy Johnson to experiment at Iowa like nobody we've seen before. I think that's going to inspire a lot of drivers to get creative early here, James. What do you think is going to happen today?
I mean, honestly, I think there's going to be quite a difference today because remember yesterday we had Parc Fermé rules. You had to qualify the setup you wanted to race. There was a compromise there. Now, overnight, the teams could change everything. They would have watched yesterday's race over again. They would have learned what other drivers were doing, other teams were doing, where they were strong and weak, and now they can set the cars up however they want. So what I think is going to happen today is you're going to see more drivers with balances they're happy with. We're going to see more competition at the front of the field fighting for the win today.
And it is much more enjoyable for the drivers and the fans. The grandstands look even more full. It was a sellout yesterday, but a lot of people were ducking for cover. 83 degrees today compared to almost 100 yesterday.
But the track temperature, Kevin, just as hot, 125 degrees, so it's no easier on the tires. It's going to be equally tough, I think, for 300 laps.
It's time to fire them up. Let's go downstairs for the command.
Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend fans, are you ready? Here to give the command for the Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300 presented by Google. Please welcome today's Grand Marshal, actor, producer, and entrepreneur, Mark Wahlberg.
Drivers, start your engines!
There's the command.
26 Indy cars are fired up, ready to take on this less than 1 mile oval. It's time for the Hy-Vee starting grid and how they will line up.
Well, in terms of who to watch, it's pretty easy on this one for me. Front row, Power Newgarden, Team Penske teammates. Newgarden with the win yesterday, Power third. How do they sort themselves out when the green drops? They both have probably the 2 fastest cars in the field right now.
For me, looking at this next section of the grid, I'm looking at Marcus Ericsson on the inside of row 8 there. He started a little higher yesterday, got all the way up to the front, was battling for the lead at one point before falling off a little bit, made a small mistake in that last stint, but he was super strong, the sneaky Swede. I think he can make his way back up to the front again today.
And even though he's starting at the back again, Helio Castroneves, the 4-time Indy 500 winner, was into the top 10 early into yesterday's race. Let's see what he has today. It should be awesome once again. It's time for the Honda track preview. We find out what these drivers are going to be dealing with today.
Well, this driver in particular in the number 48 Honda, Jimmy Johnson, made us so nervous yesterday, James, sitting up here in the booth. You and I have been driving Indy cars for a long time, but we've never quite seen the risks this guy was taking at 46 years old.
We always talked about how this track is so much fun because it's the only true 2-lane oval we go to. Well, Jimmy Johnson just informed us it's actually a 3-lane oval, Townsend. Some of the moves he was making incredible, variable banking at both ends of the racetrack, and it really just makes for some great side-by-side action here.
All right, let's find out more what we're watching for today. Let's start with Dylan Welch.
Kevin Will Power swept the pole position for both races this weekend, wound up third at the end of the afternoon yesterday. So what did he learn? Well, clean air is key, and he knew that already. But if he does fall out of the lead, Will said he needs to do a little better job of working his in-cockpit tools early in the stint. Everybody's going to be bad at the end of the tire life. We saw that yesterday, but Will acknowledged he could do a better job of trying to make them less bad than those around them. So, Dave, that's the goal today, along with the win, of course, to go with those 2 pole positions.
Dylan, Colton Herta will start 9 positions worse than where he qualified. That will put him back to 12th on the starting grid. It was because of an unapproved engine change, and he had it happen earlier this year, and in that race, he regained all of the positions by race end. If he does that today, that'll mean a podium finish, which could be great for Colton.
And Townsend, one of the big keys is how the Firestones will handle things.
Yeah, check this out. What makes Iowa so unique is the degradation of the tires, the speed fall off. About 170 mile an hour average lap with brand new Firestones, but in just 60 laps into the stint, about 150 mile an hour average speed. That means no 2 laps are the same. You are constantly chasing the setup and adjusting to a variable dynamic of the race car every single lap. That's why this place is so hard.
A lot of pressure on Jack Harvey. Hy-Vee everywhere, including on his car. Let's listen to some Ray Hall, Letterman communication.
The wind is roughly the same magnitude, but it is 180 degrees out from yesterday, so it wouldn't surprise me if our balance characteristics swap in today. Just be on your toes.
So this is what they're dealing with, and Hinch, it's much different.
It's important to know where the wind direction is and how hard it's blowing. Right now, it's a bit of a tailwind into turn 1, guys. That could make these cars a little loose on entry, which can be really sketchy behind the wheel.
No practice today, though, Kevin, so you won't know until you feel the wind change for the first time. And look at the weather difference today versus yesterday.
But there was no opportunity to change the car from qualifying yesterday. They have been able to make changes for today. We'll do it again. Second half of the Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend. It's the Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300. They're lined up in rows of 2. Penske on the front row. The red car is Will Power. Joseph Newgarden won yesterday. Looking to become a 5-time winner. The white and black car on the outside. Let's go again from Iowa. And already Newgarden ducking to the inside. He's going to challenge his team teammate.
But looking up top, I think that's Pato O'Ward trying to make that third lane work. We saw some guys going below the yellow line on the front straight, side by side into turn 3. Look at the 5.
Pato O'Ward said, I like 3 lanes, but let's try 4 lanes on the start. He ducks in behind Takuma Sato, and here comes Connor Daly trying to make up for a difficult day yesterday. But Pato O'Ward early to the high side and making it work. He'll push Sato here down the back straight.
Connor Daly on board the pit Nile, number 20 Ed Carpenter racing car. Seeing that side-by-side action, and Pato O'Ward clears the position. He's in third. Side-by-side, Hy-Vee and Scott McLaughlin, black and blue car on the top side. We're on his Freightliner on board.
The benefit of this high line is you have clean air generally, a lot of cars going low early, and you don't have to steer the car as tightly through the corner. What does that do? It helps to preserve the tires for these stints.
Yeah, you can traditionally roll a little more minimum speed through the corner on that high line, and that gives you the momentum off the corner like we just saw from Ed Carpenter there on Scott Dixon, running up high there, able to pull away and clear the 9, as you see drivers looking all over the racetrack right now, trying to feel out their cars as David Malukas goes on the inside of Colton Herta, but Colton's going to roll the outside. Everyone's trying to figure out where their cars are working right now.
Malukas is one of the rookies, all finished the race yesterday, picked up valuable experience. He's in that white and black and red car.
I feel like every one of these drivers except Jimmy Johnson was in their motorhome last night staring at an iPad of Jimmy's onboard footage. That was his concern, as he's given away his secrets in terms of running the high side of the ovals. Everybody seems to be searching for grip much higher, much earlier in this race than yesterday. Onboard here with the 48.
Yeah, the other guy that was doing the same thing we just saw was Marcus Ericsson. He was living up in lane 2. I thought he was going to apply for residency up in lane 2, and he got himself all the way up to the front with it, trying to make it work today. He's already up 5 spots, is Ericsson, as we see Colton Herta go around the number 10, the black and green car, the Ridgeline Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. Alex Palou behind the wheel.
Good run going so far for Herta. A couple of issues yesterday. Stalled on pit lane, had an electronic issue, couldn't get refired, had an engine change for today, had to start further back because of that engine penalty, as early on, only 8 laps in, guys are starting to slide around.
Big wiggle from David Malukas off of turn 4 there. He was racing Jimmy Johnson, who sort of used Alex Palou as a bit of a pick. Malukas had a good run, but had nowhere to go with the 10 right in front of him, and Johnson able to clear him on the outside up into 13th. As Jack Hy-Vee now under pressure from Felix Rosenquist, and Marcus Ericsson lurking in the background, who's up to 9th now.
Here, bud. Awesome job. Keep it up. Keep feeling her out.
The mission on board with Felix Rosenquist, looking ahead on Jack Hy-Vee. He's got to run. He's going to go to the inside. Is he up far enough? Hy-Vee's going to hang on, not ready to give it up, and Hy-Vee is clear again.
Such a great example how on the low line, James, you can get trapped inside, and you really have to start pedaling the car because it wants to just float up, glide up, slide up to the outside of the track.
Yeah, you could hear that onboard. Felix having to work the throttle so it doesn't slide up into the 45. He did a high line in 2 to get the big run off, dove to the inside of 3, but Jack's just got that momentum on the high line right now. This is going to be a 3-4 lap battle, I think, before it sorts itself out.
And as busy as the action is on track, it's busy at the top of the tower where we broadcast from, because all the spotters work in overtime for 300 laps today. There is not a nanosecond to take a break as a spotter. You're keyed up on the radio.
Try the middle lane in 3 and 4 if you can.
There you go. Giving advice, giving traffic, trying to keep your driver out of trouble and up to speed.
Scott Dixon started way back in 18th, has lost a spot in 19th. He's being challenged by rookie Callum Ilott of 3 career oval races right now.
But Dixon, the most disciplined driver in this field, the most experienced driver in this field, and the winningest driver in this field in terms of championships, Dave. And he knows, be patient early, save your tires. It'll come back to you at the end.
And Townsend, if you're Callum Ilott, right, you're watching what Dixon is doing. Unfortunately, Ilott in the green and white car won't be able to do what Dixon is doing, according to our conversation this morning. I said, Callum, how was he? He said it was great. Overshot what I expected that we could do, but I cannot run that high line. The 77 car is only good down low, as you now see fellow rookie Christian Lundgaard looking there.
Christian Lundgaard, a great result yesterday. He brought it home in 10th place, the top finishing rookie on his 21st birthday, no less. Another driver new to oval racing, but he is really picking it up very well, riding on board. The shield cleanser's on board with him, and you get a sense of how bumpy this racetrack is, Townsend, with these onboards.
And physically, Lundgaard was destroyed after the race yesterday. Had nothing left, he said, completely spent after hanging onto that wheel so tightly in the heat. It is physically exhausting. It is mentally totally devastating because at the end, you are just exhausted head to toe.
Kyle Kirkwood in that black Sexton Properties AJ Foyt Racing number 14 took a look at the PNC Bank car of Scott Dixon, lost a little momentum, but he did get around Callum Ilott for a spot there, so Ilott has lost a spot in that green and white car. And now we go back up front with the two Penske's. Newgarden won yesterday. Today he's chasing Will Power early. Throughout the Indy racing season, grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on your screen for a chance to win $25,000 at Hy-Vee-Deals.com. It's simple. Scan the QR code and register to win. Thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee. 25 laps in to the Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300. Second half of the doubleheader at Smokin' Fast Iowa Speedway. Renus VK was fast yesterday, finishing fourth, and he just picked up a spot there, getting by Jack Harvey to move to ninth.
And already just 27 laps in, it seems like Jack Harvey really struggling to hang on to the balance of his car. And at this point, you've got to communicate with your crew and say, hey, I'm struggling either understeer, oversteer. Here's what we need at the next stop. But it's got a long way to go, about 60, 65 laps on a stint. So it's a big run for Harvey just to get to that first pit stop.
And we take a look here, Romain Grosjean's Auto Nation on board to see him get by Jack Harvey. And I was really impressed with Romain yesterday. This was his first race at Iowa. The Andretti Autosport cars haven't really been on the pace. They've not been the top of the timesheets this weekend, but he just sort of learned during the day, took care of his car, took care of his tires, ended up being the highest finishing Andretti Autosport entry. He said he learned a lot yesterday and was definitely ready to get back into the car today and try to apply some of those lessons.
Let's look at who's on the move, brought to you by Honda. Marcus Ericsson, the championship leader, started 15th. He's already up to 8th. Most of the race yesterday, he looked like he was going to be a real contender. Dave.
And Kevin, some of that work on getting this car to the front today was done in the first lap. He was low, going 3 wide into turn 1 as the green flag fell. So as you look at the championship leader who gave up a little bit yesterday, most drivers were able to close in on Marcus, and he went from being 35 ahead to 15 ahead of the next closest car. He needs to stay aggressive. He can't be passive.
He was fighting for the lead yesterday, and it just kind of went away from him at the end.
And fighting aggressively. It was not a points racing day for the 8 crew. They were definitely going after it, as now the leaders have reached the back of the field. They're going through lap traffic. That's Dalton Kellett, the first one down, and both the top 2 have cleared him now. And this yesterday, guys, is where I thought Joseph Newgarden was so spectacular.
Yeah, he carved through the field at the finish with lap traffic. Pato O'Ward was running in second, but interestingly enough, Scott McLaughlin was out there. Team Penske, they pitted him with about 20 laps to go on fresh tires. He was able to let Newgarden, his teammate, by. McLaughlin had issues earlier on and basically able to act as like a pick on Pato O'Ward. So pretty clever team strategy at work there as we ride on board with Newgarden, chasing his teammate through traffic. And you're right, James, decision-making is everything here. It has to be decisive, but it also has to be intelligent. You just can't throw caution to the wind with these lap cars.
Townsend, as you stay on board with the Hitachi cam, giving us those great shots. Tim Cindric will call the race again today. It was funny, when I tried to catch up with both of them this morning, they were in a strategy meeting. I said, really? Strategy? Come on, what strategy do you need? You're right up front all day yesterday and dominated, but they definitely need to make sure they're on the same page with everybody today to stay ahead of them, including their teammate who leads. So guys, when do you think the pit window will open early on for these leaders?
I think you're looking at about lap 60. Right at about lap 60. This is a 4-stop race. If you go 60 each stint, that gets you to the 300 laps on perfect math. If it were to stay green the whole time, what really mixes things up, just like yesterday, is when a yellow comes, because fresh tires can mean a lot. You are happy to give up track position for fresh rubber most times here at Iowa.
Yeah, I think we saw that yesterday with that lap 19 caution as we watched Graham Rahal and the High Rock Vodka on board go a lap down. But we saw yesterday those guys that took that lap 19 caution and then cut through the field. I think that just showed everybody today that any caution after, I'm going to go aggressive here, 15, maybe 20 laps on a set of tires. I think you're going to see a lot of the cars come in, including the leader.
Especially a guy like this, Helio Castroneves. This must be so frustrating to watch his former Team Penske teammates just motor by him 37 laps in to an oval race. I talked to Castroneves just a couple hours ago, and his teammate Pagano, and they were struggling big time yesterday. They said they were going to throw big changes at the race car today, but so far doesn't seem to be much of an improvement.
Yeah, he went forward early yesterday. He's already lost a lap, and several are struggling today. We've seen some moving forward, like Marcus Ericsson, but some have really dropped. Jack Hy-Vee, 12 back from where he started. Connor Daly has lost 10 spots. Let's listen to radio communications on the Hitachi #2 for Team Penske.
How's your car?
Yeah, it's okay. I think probably need a little more front.
Copy. He's a bit free in front of you.
Will it?
Yes.
That should be a warning to the rest of the field. That guy sounds like he's on his couch at home, you know, typing an email. Talk about chill. Newgarden, I mean, he's on another level. He's got the best car out there, it seems, in the race, totally under control from the sound of his voice.
He says, yeah, you know, maybe a little more front. I'm watching his onboard, and his hands barely move compared to most of the other onboards we're watching, not just in terms of how much lock he's putting in. Over the bumps, the car looks so compliant. He's just out for a Sunday drive right now, 41 laps in to a 300-lap race. He knows he's got plenty of time to track down and get Will Power.
Wow. Way down there on the left, I think that might be Simon Pagano. He's been black flagged, no radio communication. It is a must to hear from the spotter.
Yeah, the spotter is a safety element. It really is. They're your eyes in the sky. They sit on top of the grandstands and really help you see what's happening behind you. And it is mandatory as we see one of the first cars in the lead lap down to pit lane.
Not a good side for Connor Daly to have to pit this early.
Well, the leaders are going to try to go at least another 10 to 20 laps. Stay with us from Iowa Speedway. Back at Iowa Speedway, where lap traffic has played a role, on board with Joseph Newgarden, who nearly got by Will Power for the lead as they were trying to deal with back markers.
That was 2021 champion Alex Palou that the Team Penske boys just blew past. If this thing stays green for another 100 laps, James, Power and Newgarden could lap the field. They are just smoking it.
They really are on a frightening pace right now for the rest of the field. Pato O'Ward almost 7 seconds behind already, 50 laps into this race. That is definitely a warning for everyone else. But you see, when Will's got clean air, he can open up a bit of a gap, only one car in front of him. It's when they hit those clusters of traffic that Joseph just seems to have, whether it's slightly more grip, better balanced car, or just like you say, making the right decisions, car placement, and reading the traffic a little better.
The thing that I see out of Will Power is great patience right now. Really considered. Every move is very measured. He's thinking through when to make those moves, not taking huge risks. Luckily, as a race fan, these two guys have great race cars. We should see them battle it out for many laps to come.
Meanwhile, let's check in with Jimmy Johnson, who found 3, maybe 4 lanes yesterday. How's it going today?
Oh, boy.
Oh.
This is what we were worried about, James. There's a limit.
There is a limit, and it's amazing how slick it feels up there. When you get up there, Jimmy's out of the throttle. He's just hanging on for dear life. There's no grip in that race car. Yesterday, he's the one giving everybody a crash course on running the high line, but I think he may have found the limit himself today.
And I circled the screen because those marbles build. It's totally different lap 10 versus where we are right now, lap 55. By lap 100, if there's no yellow and no sweepers, it's going to be like cookie crumble up top.
Two Swedes are having a good day, and Marcus Ericsson is going inside of Felix Rosenqvist right now.
What I love, you saw Marcus got a bit understeer, came up into the 7 of Felix Rosenqvist with his mission on board, and he had to get out of the throttle. That allowed Felix to keep the position, but now Marcus coming back up top.
Here's what's crazy about this battle, guys. This is the battle for 6th position. These guys are having a great day. They're only 5 seconds ahead of Power and Newgarden right now. So you might think you're having a great day. Your spotter's going to be telling you leaders are coming soon. You're like, wait, what?
That's unreal. As they run right now, you see Power would overtake in the championship Marcus Ericsson. He'd be down to 2nd. Joseph Newgarden 3rd, but only 7 points between them as the reigning champion Alex Palou from Chip Ganassi Racing is in pit lane.
That's a little bit earlier than you'd want. That's a driver that's really been struggling for the balance, and the team is saying, okay, this is the early side of the window. Good pit stop, though, from the 10 crew, that Ridgeline car down and away.
They're hoping a yellow comes at some point to be able to make up some extra fuel in a later stint. Let me ask you this, Townsend, though. Does the track, as it rubbers in, is it easier to make the tires last longer later in the race?
It is. Well, let's ask the 2-time winner, James. What do you think?
Well, no, I agree completely. And another important factor is we actually had a lot of rain overnight here at Iowa. Here in Newton, the track got a really good dosing of rain. It would have washed a lot of yesterday's rubber off the track, so you're kind of starting from scratch, a little bit of a greener racetrack. As that Firestone rubber builds onto the racetrack, these tires are going to last a little bit longer. And as you pointed out, Townsend, the track temperature is actually coming down slightly as Jimmie Johnson, the star of the Highlines, in the pit lane, Dylan.
Jimmy is in. He was just reporting his car was actually feeling a little bit loose, so they made a front wing change. You saw 4 Firestone tires, Speedway fuel, and Jimmy will go back out.
That front wing change will be taking a little bit of front wing out of the car. That lowers the front flap, changes the center of pressure, the amount of aerodynamic load on the front of the car versus the rear to try and give Jimmy a little bit more rear grip as Dave Burns has Colton Herta.
And he's been fairly confident about the car today, not in the track position he needs to be. Nice, clean pit stop for the Andretti Autosport crew.
And the hits keep on coming for Meyer Shank Racing. Improper pit entry for Elio Castroneves. Stop and go coming for him. So now early on, neither one have any chance to.
Bad day getting worse.
The thing about pit lane here is you do go 2 laps down because it's such a short lap as Scott Dixon heads to pit lane. Dave Burns.
And his car hinge was a little bit on the understeer side, so they'll make an adjustment here for him to get the 9 a little bit better. They made some adjustments overnight as well. Scott was fairly confident when I talked to him earlier today.
Alexander Rossi, he's been into pit lane. We see him drive by the leader. It just shows you the advantage of those fresh Firestones. Him and Alex Palou pulling away as Pato Award's down there.
Pato Award said he's been struggling with the wind in turns 3 and 4. Crew can't do anything about that, except they can make the car a little more compliant. Sounds like 1 turn of wing. You see Marcus Ericsson on pit road as well. That car has been good handling today. Felix Rosenquist in front of him, battling on the track and now battling it out on pit road.
Chip Ganassi Racing versus McLaren Racing in the pits, and Marcus Ericsson wins that battle off. These first laps, Townsend out of the pits, getting up to speed, so important on these green flag cycles.
Also so inspiring. Your race car feels amazing compared to what it felt like when you entered pit lane. Ericsson blends out. There's Pagano, who pitted a while ago on the high side, but you get so much grip as Team Penske will go to battle on pit lane. This is the race for the lead.
Dylan, go ahead.
Really nice first stint here for the Penske cars. They'll pit right in front of each other. No changes for Will Power. 65 laps. He's happy with the race car, Dave.
We have to make a change here for, yes, a wing change. Remember, Newgarden said he wanted more front. Here is the race now. Will Power goes back by.
Man, there's a bit of pride within the team there about who got their driver out first, side by side in pit lane.
But it's wide enough here that if Newgarden can get off the button and stay to the inside, he might have the advantage. They almost touched.
I think they did touch.
Big risk, guys, down on that apron. It is so dirty, so many marbles, all the dust down there. Huge risk going side by side. But this is what you got to do. Every inch of this concrete, this pavement rather, is racetrack. You got to go for it.
Well, these are equal cars. Both drivers know, hey, my best chance to get by my teammate might be off the pit lane.
If there was any question who's the lead dog on Team Penske, both those guys just raised their hands.
Absolutely, and one of the things that made an advantage for Joseph Newgarden, this is coming into the pits, a replay, really closed that gap. You see him locking up, but on the way out, he's on the inside lane. Technically, that's the slow lane, but because it bends around the corner, it's actually a shorter radius, so you can see him technically gaining on Will Power right now, even though they're going the exact same speed, and then almost contact, Townsend.
Oh, I mean, there might have been. If so, it was just. And 69 laps in, Kevin, these two are going to be going at it all race long. Dylan.
Here's Takuma Sato. They made a in-race wing change yesterday that brought their car to life. Having a nice day so far. Just a front wing adjustment, 1 round in for Sato.
Powered by NTT. Let's look at some pit stop data coming up between the 2 Penske cars, Joseph Newgarden and Will Power.
And you see that in lap 0.7 of a second faster. We saw a lot of that was on the brakes coming down to the pit lane speed line on the way in, slightly faster on pit lane. Overall, a 0.4 of a second gain for the 2 car.
So all of the leaders have taken their first stop. They're on pace for 3 more from Iowa Speedway. This is IndyCar. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Hy-Vee. Throughout the race season, HyVeeDeals.com provides a chance to win $25,000. HyVeeDeals.com, proud sponsor of the number 45 car. Shield Products, your full lineup of disinfectant cleansers and PPE products, and proud partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Liberty Mutual Insurance, only pay for what you need. and by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. Kevin Lee, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe, Dave Burns, Dylan Welch, Will Power is in front, Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, and Jimmy Johnson in fourth, legit, turning laps faster than the leaders, but the battle is for the lead. Newgarden, yesterday's winner, is still right there with Will Power.
And just in front of Will Power, Romain Grosjean, that's the 11th place driver, about to go a lap down. Grosjean still, though, 2 races in a row, having a great run, his first time here at Iowa. Power to the inside. Newgarden's going to study it. Time in his power slides up. Grosjean not wanting to give up the lap, fighting back. I don't think Power would have expected that much of a defense.
I'm not sure Power really knew what was happening there. I think he just got a big understeer that lost his momentum. And look at the number 2 lurking in the wheel tracks of the Verizon Chevy.
Now Grosjean running the high line. Power having to adjust and cut down low to get clean air on his front wing.
As they run, these two are separated by 7 points in the championship. Power in front of the red and black car. Newgarden in the white and black car to the inside, side by side. Battle for the lead. Newgarden has the line, and lap traffic potentially is going to come into play with Grosjean in the same line as Will Power.
And Grosjean has so much control over the result here of this Team Penske battle, depending on where he runs his car. Grosjean goes all the way high. Newgarden has clean air. Power washes up the track.
Yesterday's winner, Newgarden, is back in front.
You saw Will Power crowd Joseph Newgarden there. He's trying to get below the dirty air of Romain Grosjean, but as Grosjean came down, he crossed the wake of air that gave him a bunch of understeer. He slid up the racetrack, and that allowed the two to go straight through Joseph Newgarden to the point.
And now he clears Grosjean.
And this is where we said it. This is where yesterday he was so strong, navigating the traffic, negotiating these lap cars, placing his car exactly where he needs to, timing those passes, not driving in too deep behind another car and getting into that dirty air, losing the downforce and sliding up. Now Will Power just trying to recollect himself and get back under attack for Joseph Newgarden.
You know, remarkably, this reminds me so much of multi-class sports car racing, like what we have in IMSA, in that you have to be patient and recognize there's give and take moments. Power might have gotten unlucky in that moment, but he's got to be patient and know that things will come back to him eventually. Ironically, Dylan, though, Newgarden and Power, no IMSA sports car experience like a lot of the rest of this field.
Well, and one of the things, too, that they mentioned at the start of this weekend that you had to be able to do was pass quickly and efficiently. When you got up behind cars, even slower traffic, even if your car wasn't driving well, you had to be able to pass quickly and dispose of that slower traffic, so that cost them there. And keep in mind, too, one of Will's biggest takeaways from yesterday early in the stint, just make sure he's staying on his tools here. Now that he doesn't have clean air, it's going to be extra important that Will manages that car himself behind the wheel.
So new leader is Joseph Newgarden, and lurking not too far behind, the American Legion on board shows us Jimmy Johnson, and also his Firestone telemetry as he runs in fourth, ran in the top 5 part of the day yesterday.
Yeah, this is a great run. This is the best run of Jimmy Johnson's IndyCar career, and I think the reason for that is he's had a race, a night to learn about that race, and then back to the exact same racetrack the next day. He's tightening everything up. He did so much experimentation yesterday, some of it a little too much. He spun earlier in the race trying the low line. He didn't hit anything. He still finished, but now he can bring it all together, make smaller, refined adjustments, and try to get his best IndyCar result to date.
So far, so good. I mean, you see Blair Julian there on the stand, running strategy for him. Jimmy Johnson now finally working the low line, getting some clean air on the front of that race car. And I think, like you say, Townsend, the lessons learned, you know what it's like when you have a night to marinate on everything, to sleep on it, you come back so much more prepared the next day.
Just the muscle memory and being able to relax your body because you can anticipate what it's about to go through as opposed to tense up and experience it for the first time. Let's head back down to pit lane with Dylan.
And something else that Blair had mentioned about Jimmy's progression as a race car driver, he said that even coming off Toronto last week, which of course is a street course, was huge for them because they felt like they made a huge step up just in Jimmy's comfortability with the race car, his feedback. They got to third at one point on an off-cycle pit strategy, but he was running competitive times. They said that was huge for Jimmy's confidence leading into a race where he knew he was going to be competitive, knew he was going to be fast, and so that's all carried over, they think. He obviously was strong yesterday, too. So the ball is rolling down the hill in a good way for this 48 team right now, and Jimmy's having another great day running fourth.
Almost a third of the way in, still caution-free, and down to 8 on the lead lap. Can Joseph Newgarden go 2 for 2 at Iowa? Carvana's new docuseries, Reinventing the Wheel on Jimmy Johnson, is going to have a lot to cover this weekend. Go behind the scenes with Johnson and his crew as they face new challenges and adventures on and off the track. Check out the full series on Carvana.com/racing. Johnson just lost a spot to his teammate Marcus Ericsson. He still runs in 5th. Up front, Joseph Newgarden is the leader of this race and staying caution-free. We are down to 7 on the lead lap and a doubleheader weekend, and Jimmy mentioned this before the race. This has sped up quite a bit, but they changed the entire livery from Carvana to American Legion today. And it took slightly longer than this to get it done.
But it is great to see how you can do it. What a cool shot. Chip Ganassi Racing Crew hard at work there, not only to get the car better, but get the car looking different, and it's looking pretty good right now, running up in the top 5.
That is a good-looking race car. And a fast race car is a good-looking race car, and he's been fast.
That sped-up frame rate is what Joseph Newgarden's life looks like right now from the cockpit. This guy just lapped Scott Dixon 1/3 of the way through this race. That 7th place Dixon is now a lap down. Dave, nothing seems to be able to stop Joseph Newgarden this weekend.
Well, and consider the year for the driver, the black and white number 2. We talked to him in Victory Lane yesterday about how the season's gone. He said, well, consistency has been what we've lacking. Remember, they have won 1/3 of the races that they've run this year and still don't have the championship lead. So consistency is what the 2 team is looking for. And I would say if they can go back-to-back at Iowa, that's the kind of consistency they really want.
And he's chasing 6th place Scott McLaughlin in that blue and black Freightliner car right now. McLaughlin told me this morning, I think I had a podium car yesterday, but a lug nut came loose and they had to make an extra stop, and that ended his chances. David Malukas in the Dale Coyne Racing HMD black, white, blue car on the high side. Renus VK, the orange Bitnile car on the low side.
It's the battle for 10th place.
Lucas, the strong rookie qualifier yesterday's race, started inside the top 6, had some issues throughout the day, didn't get the finish quite that he wanted, but really showing some speed here, some aggressive moves.
And this is where you're battling some cars sometimes that are really hanging on by a thread, and that's what Newgarden and Power need to be careful of. This is the tricky part of the stint. You've got about 10 laps until your pit window, and as much as you're trying to circulate the track quickly, you're watching for all these cars that are really hanging on because you don't want somebody to lose it and take you out.
Exactly right. Graham Rahal right now a lap down to Colin Herta and Renus VK, who are a lap down to the leader. So Graham 2 laps down, but still fighting back, trying to make up as much ground as he can as he clears Colton coming off at 2.
And we were watching these cars battle here for 9th, 10th, and 11th. David Malukas at the back of this trio, and he talked to us yesterday after the race about how he felt like his car was actually better throughout the course of the stint, especially at the end of the race. Felt like he could pass cars and go forward. So that's obviously encouraging. As many cars as we've seen and drivers we've heard complaining again today about how fast these tires are falling off. Having some longevity behind the wheel of your race car, never a bad thing.
It never is, absolutely, Dylan. The thing, I just want to go back. We just talked about the leader lapping 7th place, Scott Dixon. Can we talk about the fact Scott Dixon's in 7th place? Yep. Up 11. He started down in 18th. Likewise, Marcus Ericsson called him out at the top of the show, up to 4th from a 15th place. Both those Ganassi Racing cars up 11 spots so far.
And both about to get lapped. Well, Dixon has been lapped. Jimmy Johnson about to get lapped by Newgarden. There are only 5 cars on the lead lap. This is nuts.
So Pato Award running in 3rd, dealing with a pair of cars trying to find a way around. You know, normally when you're a lap down, guys, you're thinking, oh, my race is over, I'm just trying to stay out of the way. That's not the case today. You're still racing. 1, a caution can come out, you get your lap back. But 2, you can finish in the top 5 a lap
Renus
down.
VK almost crashed there down low. Huge save from the driver of that orange Bitnile car as Colton Herta goes to the high side, and now VK just hanging on he probably still hasn't caught his breath after that.
I was just going to say, he's going to be catching his breath for a couple laps. So let's right on board the game bridge on board with Colton Herta. You see a little wiggle and then a big slide and a snap. And Colton has to react and get up into the gray to avoid contact. It was these two that came together famously here a couple years back, sent Colton all the way up into the sky.
Like I said, these next 5 laps, you are hanging on. You're on the radio telling your team, I need to pit for tires. I'm going to crash. And they're saying, you're not there yet. We need a few more laps from you.
So we've seen a couple in the back make stop number 2. The leader should be in soon. Stay with us in Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. The Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300. Joseph Newgarden, who won yesterday, the first half of the doubleheader leading. And we have our first caution of the day. It is for AJ Foyt Racing rookie Kyle Kirkwood, who was right there near the leader, Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah. Kyle Kirkwood just gets in a little high, had to leave room for Joseph Newgarden to the inside and up in the marbles. And this is what happens after 120 laps of green flag running. Take a look at the left side tires for Kyle Kirkwood. You can see just the huge amount of pickup after he spun, but that stuff is all on the racetrack. IndyCar will sweep that now that there's a yellow, but eventually someone's going to wreck because there's just no grip up that high.
We're on lap 122 by this point of the day. Yesterday, we'd already had 2 cautions. That means 2 attempts for the safety team to go out and sweep the top of the racetrack. So like you say, Townsend, there's just so much more accumulation. You can even see it on the entry down below. Basically, anywhere these cars aren't running is now littered with marbles, the bits of rubber that roll up off the tire, and just dust and dirt.
But an important opportunity for everybody that's 1 lap down to get a lap back under this caution. So everything's going to get reset here. And for Newgarden and Power, there'll be another Team Penske battle on pit lane.
A few drivers had just pitted, Alexander Rossi, Rinus VeeKay, and when you pit, because the lap's so short, you go 2 laps down. So these guys really get hosed. They were 1 lap down. They could have got their lap back, but because they pitted, they were now 3 laps down. They'll be able to stay out, get 1 of those laps back, but they essentially lost a lap through that sequence. Very bad luck for the 21 and for the 27.
And let's look at Colton Herta, who was trying to come in. And did he get back out safely? He did. Good call.
That was his father, Brian Herta. He heard the call on the radio. Pits are closed. You would have seen a blinking red light, drivers left, indicating that the pits are closed. But that happened at the last second. And great job from the father, Brian, to force his son to stay on the racetrack and avoid a drive-through penalty.
3 seconds later before that caution comes out, and he's laughing because he would have got a free pit stop, but now the leaders are in. Dylan's down there.
And Will Power, once again, no changes for the Verizon Chevy, number 12. He'll get 4 fresh Firestone tires and a tear-off, and only thing he wanted was some clean air. He'll maybe have a shot at that now, Dave.
Well, did you see that big gap that all the lapped cars left Joseph Newgarden to second place, Will Power? He'll take advantage of that and leave pit road now cleanly.
And we only saw 4 come down because 4 on pit lane, but the race starts anew because the others are going to get a lap back. Stay with us from Iowa Speedway. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by High Rock, official spirits partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan. Best way to celebrate life's High Rock moments. Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. And by Hy-Vee, proud sponsor of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Hy-Vee, making lives easier, healthier, and happier. And I might say, helping support fantastic racing weekends. So cars a lap down, getting a chance to get their lap back, and now get back in the game with their pit stops.
McLaughlin and Scott Dixon, this is kind of the battle for 5th, coming off pit road as Colton Herta's down and away. And we'll get the update at the timing line. Who are the movers, who are the losers?
Well, Jimmy Johnson came in at the front of that line. I believe Scott McLaughlin beat him out. That's Simon, it's one of the Meyer Shank cars. I think it might be actually Elo Castroneves in front of him. We know
stayed out.
He's laps down. No, he was in the pits as well.
Oh, then it was Pagano that stayed out, but in the other Auto Nation car.
In front of Castroneves, I think we see the blue Freightliner car, the number 3. That's Scott McLaughlin. So great job from the number 3 guys. The thirsty threes, as Scott likes to call them. They're definitely a little hungry after yesterday. They thought they had a podium on the cards. They got themselves back up into the top 5 and back, most importantly, on the lead lap.
This is what we were talking about. Just because they were a lap down, the race was far from done. They were racing each other a lap even, 2 laps down, because now it's all even again, and if the car is good, you can go from a lap down and win the race.
This is the great thing, is we had 4 cars on the lead lap at the yellow. We now have 16 on the lead lap for the restart. Dylan, what's going on with the 30?
Well, it's a brake issue, and they are just behind pit wall. They're not even in the garage, just kind of on the pedestrian walkway here, but bleeding the brakes right now for Lundgaard, which is obviously disappointing. You see him coming down pit road, never got the car stopped, so obvious problem there and disappointing. They had their best, Christian had his best oval finish yesterday, finished 10th with a nice drive, and obviously not going to get that today.
All right, it is a fresh reset. We're still short of the halfway point of the second half of the Hy-Vee IndyCar doubleheader weekend. The Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300. It's Newgarden, Power Award, Ericsson, McLaughlin, back to green on this short track, and it's side by side for third. That's Ericsson going to the low side of that orange and black car of Pato Award.
Red and white car, Marcus Ericsson being very aggressive on the low line. Everybody on fresh tires. It is Hero Brave on fresh Firestones. Further back, they're too wide, but Award now challenging Power for second.
Right up against the wall on the exit of 4, side by side across the line. The orange and black car, the McLaren of Pato Award trying to make the high line work. Will Power not wanting to give up that spot, and this is absolutely what Joseph Newgarden wants to see as he starts running off in the distance.
Yesterday it was this car, Pato Award, that was really the only threat for Newgarden at the finish.
Will's going to do everything he can to take off your line here. No pressure from the gate.
You hear spotter Chris Wheeler for Pato Award saying Will Power's doing everything he can to throw you off your line. On board here with Colton Herta.
Up ahead is a lap car, one of the Meyer-Shank entries. Felix Rosenquist was the next car in line here. Pato still trying to get by Will Power, not able to make it stick off of 4.
Wow, Power getting really defensive there, sliding up in front of Power.
He's going to be a hard guy to pass. Just stay patient. You got a better car than he does.
Taylor Kyle on the radio to Pato Award, bigging his driver up. Pato in the wheel tracks of Will. He needs to maybe get up high a little bit.
Here's what I'd do if I'm Will Power. I would chill right now. I would run clean air, protect my tires. We're going to catch the tail end of the lead lap in about 5 or 6 laps. So save your tires and then pounce when Newgarden and Power get to lap traffic.
I'm still not used to seeing Indy cars have those kind of corrections on the ovals, man. We just sort of brushed right by that. Any other oval race we go to, that would have been an accident. Pato just sort of casually correcting it as Scott McLaughlin is trying to make some moves on the lap car of Jack Harvey. And Dave's got some news down in pit lane.
Well, about Pato Award, who we read on right now with the Aero McLaren onboard camera, Pato believed that he needed a second turn of wing on that car to make it do what he wanted it to do. Now remember his comments at the end of yesterday's race when he finished second behind Joseph Newgarden. He felt like he got his tires worn out a little bit earlier than he should have in the run. So it's moves like that at the start where you want to get that position so bad, but you hurt the tires for the long run. We'll see if he can keep them under him today and make another challenge on Will.
Looks like he's about ready to make a challenge, trying a slightly different line. By the way, Rinus VeeKay had to serve a stop and go penalty for, it's not determined which it is, either improper pit entry or exits. Entry is what I'm told, so he is back now and has some work to do.
Right now, I think Marcus Ericsson's in a good spot. He's watching this battle for second in front of him. He can kind of take care of his car and his tires a little bit more, pick and choose where he places his car. We saw him very good on the long runs yesterday as we ride on board the Auto Nation camera with Helio Castroneves trying to just hang on to what he can right now, several laps down.
Stubbornly fighting back. Castroneves 3 laps down. I'm sure Dixon would be hoping for a little bit of love there. That next car in front of Dixon, that neon blue Freightliner car, that's Scott McLaughlin. That's the car Dixon's racing for 5th.
That's the car that Helio Castroneves drove for about 20 years, the number 3 Penske car right ahead of him. That 45 Hy-Vee car of Jack Harvey is also 3 laps down right in front of McLaughlin. Here's Colton Herta and the DHL car on the Auto Nation on board with Romain Grosjean, teammates.
Grosjean in 9th right now, Herta 10th, trying to take that spot away. Both of these cars looking a lot better, Townsend, than they were yesterday. It looks like these guys definitely found something overnight with the ability to change the cars.
Oh boy, Pato Award right on the gearbox of Will Power now. Backs out going into 3. Few more laps before Newgarden and Power pick up lap traffic. The first car will be, I believe, Alexander Rossi.
So close on entry there was Pato O'Ward, but as Will Power came down, takes the air off the front wing, he slides up the racetrack. You hear Pato just lifting, waiting to see what line Will Power takes. Then he just goes the other way just to get that fresh air onto the car, that extra downforce.
Oh, there you go. You hit Pato with the big lift there. I think Pato's now doing what we talked about, which is, all right, I'm going to lay back.
Trying to do it. You're doing a really good job here. You got a better car than he does, for sure.
I'm going to lay back and just wait until the right moment. As you see the Firestone telemetry on the lower left-hand side, watch the throttle lifts here. Big post phase, keeping a gap now, so there's a bubble of clean air on his car. It takes the load off the Firestones. It preserves them for later on.
Fourth gear through the corners, up to 6 on the straightaways. You're busy on the shifting at this little bull ring of a racetrack, on top of trying to manage your tires, manage your tools. A couple different adjustments the drivers can make inside the cockpit. They have front and rear anti-roll bars affecting the roll stiffness on either end of the race car, and then the weight jacker, Townsend, which affects the cross weight across the front axle, either more weight on the left front tire or on the right front tire, depending on how the balance of the car is. So a lot of things you're trying to stay on top of as your balance changes when you wear these Firestones out over a stint.
Pato O'Ward is still right there on the gearbox of Will Power. He's got a run on. This is for second. Not going to get him here. Now maybe thinking about sweeping around the outside.
Oh, but every time he does that, Will Power sees it and probably hears it from his spotter and slides up the racetrack to take away clean air.
We'll keep an eye on this. Let's hear from the reason for the first caution. Kyle Kirkwood, unfortunately, out of the race, and he is with Dylan.
And he's at his pit box. No, you haven't seen a replay yet, but what did you feel like happened down there in turn 1?
And I'm not really sure at the moment. I'll have to really look into it to really know, but it just felt like Renus put us 3 wide into there, and I was just stuck out into the marbles from the start of the turn, and then I just went wide off into the wall. The car just didn't turn from my point of view. Is what it is. It's super unfortunate the way it turned out, because I thought we were having a pretty good race compared to yesterday. But at least we were making improvements that entire race. We were getting better and better, making passes happen, and that was just an unfortunate situation for myself. It almost felt like something just let go, and then I just went straight off into the wall, because you see people spin or do weird things, but it's usually on exit. Here on entry, I just turned, and then there was just nothing there. So I'll be scratching my head because we damaged that side of the car, but yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Thanks, Kyle.
Part of the learning experience for a rookie IndyCar driver. We've passed the halfway point of the second half of the Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend. Plenty more to come from Iowa. The biggest names in track and field are in Eugene, Oregon at the World Track and Field Championships, and it concludes tonight, 9 o'clock, 8 Central on NBC and Peacock. That's where our friend Lee Diffie has been. We'll have him in Indianapolis at the Brickyard back with us next weekend. It has been so cool to watch him on NBC and USA in the evenings the last couple of weeks with some breathtaking athletes and really remarkable moments. Scott Dixon on the low side with the PNC Bank on board, going past Scott McLaughlin. That is for 5th place. Joseph Newgarden is still in front, leading his Team Penske teammate. Will Power, Pato O'Ward has been chasing throughout the day, and that's Pato's teammate Felix Rosenquist having a solid day, running in 7th right now, and he is looking for 6th, and he's got it.
James, what a job for Scott Dixon. Frankly, all the Chip Ganassi racing drivers having a pretty decent day, Jimmy Johnson included with Marcus Ericsson, but for Scott Dixon, up 13 positions from the start, at half distance, in the top 5, closing in the championship, closing in the race, doing what Dixon does best.
Yeah, just Dixon doing Dixon things, and it's, you know, we were watching him during the break. He took about 4 laps to set that pass up on Scott McLaughlin, and once he got it done, the momentum that McLaughlin lost by getting past, it just slowed him down so much. Rosenquist capitalized on it, so did Jimmy Johnson. So a second ago, 2 laps ago, McLaughlin was ahead of Dixon. Now he's 3 places and 3 seconds behind him. It just shows you how quick the momentum can kill you here.
Dave, tell us more on the 6-time champ.
Keep in mind, he's never won here at the Iowa Speedway, and it's been for a variety of reasons. When I spoke with him this morning about today's race, he said we changed 4 or 5 things on this race car that we would hope that would be to my liking. It included making the front end more compliant and the rear to turn better on this race car. So far, so good. Scott McLaughlin has been going the right way all day after starting 18th. Now, not going the right way, this driver, Alexander Rossi, and he was fairly certain that he would be. That's because in race 1, they knew they had a problem they couldn't fix. He just hung on all day long, told me they'd take care of it overnight. And when I spoke with him this morning, he was like, yep, I'm pretty sure we have it, and I don't think we're going to have trouble. But they have not been good. Same trouble as before. Very loose race car. And when I asked him, what about the shock absorber program with Andretti? They're so good on bumpy street courses. Why not here at Iowa? He said, different science entirely, and I'm not happy with how that part is. But he thought he'd run better than he is right now. Currently 20th place, guys.
And 3 laps down. Meanwhile, battle for 6 heating up a little bit. Jimmie Johnson running in 7th in that white American Legion car. And that's Felix Rosenquist in the orange and more of a gray-colored side pod for Arrow McLaren SP.
And one of the things you notice here, James, is everybody's being a little bit more respectful of the high line than what we saw earlier in the race. They saw that Kyle Kirkwood crash on the marbles, and it's a reminder for this whole field, hey, the longer green flag running goes on, the more sketchy it's going to get up high with the marble accumulation.
Let's hear some 2 radio. Joseph Newgarden's Hitachi team.
Somewhere.
Vibration. Wheels are tight, we do know that. The data looks the same as last stint, so we don't see anything in the data.
All right, good deal.
That's a classic driver getting in his own head. I think I feel a vibration. No, everything looks good here, man. So that's sort of one of those things that happens, especially when you're leading out like this. Dylan, what do you have?
Hey, so that's interesting because Will Power told me a similar thing. Remember, these are 2 Team Penske teammates. He said during their stints yesterday, he started to feel a vibration related to tire degradation. So it wasn't anything mechanical or anything that they were super concerned about, but Will echoed maybe what Joseph is feeling right now as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and as the tires as they degrade, they can wear unevenly, and that creates these vibrations, you know, at 180 miles an hour.
Let me add here too, by the way, guys, they are not running any different motors. They're running the same ones right here at Iowa Speedway.
How does a NASCAR driver navigate life? With a little help from his friends. Get ready for world-class speed and Southern charm in USA's newest reality series, Austin Dillon's Life in the Fast Lane. New episodes Thursday at 9:30, only on USA. The Iowa Speedway.
Oh boy.
The Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300.
Kevin, it almost went south for Joseph Newgarden. He got cut off with lap traffic. Will Power has a run now, and Newgarden, guys, almost got up in the dirty stuff. That was close.
And that's all it takes. We talked about that momentum shift with Scott McLaughlin just getting a little bit off, and it can take you a lap or 2 to spool the thing back up, get your momentum going. He's going to have some dirt on his tires. Will's thinking about it, not quite close enough.
Newgarden got the lead after Power lost some momentum with lap traffic earlier in the race. Might it come back the other way? Here it is again.
David Malukas fighting to stay on the lead lap. Newgarden looks inside, and there's the jet wash. He just rifles through that big void of air as Malukas comes across his bow. And quick set of hands, and you're just hoping don't get too high because it's unrecoverable like we saw from Kirkwood early if you get all 4 tires in the dust.
And again, you saw the big correction from Joseph Newgarden. It was a big moment. He was off the throttle completely, just trying to bring the thing back in line. That is such a heart in the throat sort of moment, especially when you're dominating a race like this. Over 100 laps led so far today from Joseph Newgarden.
It looks like he survived, though, and has started to gap a little bit more. Let's find out something about Will Power with Dylan.
And it's related to what we just saw, but on the 12 car, so take a listen.
Well, something to think about here. When Joseph's going through traffic, he's, I would say, very aggressive, and I think we just need to reduce the amount of time we sit behind somebody.
So like we talked about, it's all about being as efficient as you can in traffic, otherwise the guy behind you is going to pounce.
I always love the engineering tone of driving requests. Like, hey, if you could, just don't waste much time. Just pass the guys. Like, don't hang about.
Oh, is that what I should do?
Yeah, just like,
thanks.
Make it expedient and efficient.
My favorite was always, you know, save fuel, conserve tires, but let's move forward.
Yes.
Okay, is that all? Anything else? Right. Do you want me to launch a rocket while I'm at it?
I enjoyed a champion driver saying, hey, you want to come down and drive the car? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Here we go, lap 188. Colton Herta, first of this lead group to come to pit lane.
Dave.
And he has not been happy with this race car, guys. Of all the Andretti cars, he's been good on the track in terms of where he is in the running, but just does not like this car. So get the sense that it's kind of evil for him. They're just going to change Firestone tires here and put Speedway fuel in the car, not make a round of changes for him here. Hanging on.
Will Power got around David Malukas to lap him pretty quickly. There's the gap to the leader, Joseph Newgarden, who has traffic in front of him again. That white and black number 2 Hitachi car is the leader of the race. Short track, you're always dealing in traffic.
There's quite a bit in front of Joseph Newgarden right now, and what you find, guys, is some drivers are a little more cognizant of the leader coming up on you, other drivers less so.
And 70 laps ago was exactly this situation when Newgarden was going by Kirkwood and Kirkwood crashed. So Newgarden knows this is danger zone material. It's high-risk situation with a lot of these cars struggling on old tires. He's got to protect his equipment.
And they are inside the window to go ahead and make the stop and be able to get it done on 2 more, including this one coming up, which could come anytime. Castroneves on the outside of Newgarden here.
You see, you got a bit of understeer, just that little wiggle coming off, trying to keep the car pinched down to give Elio that room, but Elio still side by side with Joseph, not giving it up at all.
And 4 laps down. Elio had a drive-through earlier in the race, actually a stop and go, and I'm told there was some miscommunication. He didn't stop, drove through, had to come back in another time and do the stop.
Castroneves should be encouraged, though. Maybe they've been able to sort his car out a little bit because he's got the same number of laps on the tires and he's making the high line work as McLaughlin comes to pit lane, Dave.
And Townsend, you saw him lose immediately several spots at one point. It was like it fell off the cliff. He said to the crew over the radio, I'm either wrecking loose or the car is pushing. So he came in this time, 4 fresh Firestones and adjustment. Award is in as well. Pato Award has had adjustments on his car all day long. This time he says, I like the balance. Let's keep it where it is. No front wing, just tires and fuel.
Spot on the marks for the number 5. The crew goes to work. 18.5 gallons of Speedway fuel inside that car, and off he goes.
Hit this lap here. Hit this lap.
That's Tim Cindric calling in Newgarden.
So Power's going to stay out. They're going to do an alternate strategy. Power going to try to go for the overcut here, maybe. No, Power's in the pit lane too. He's on the warm-up lane as well. Both coming down to pit lane.
The other thing you got to be careful of is marble accumulation on the inside, the D-cell lane. The rubber goes high and it also goes low as Newgarden locked up the rears coming to the pit line, Dylan.
So here's Will Power. You see him peeling off right there. Will's been really happy with his race car. 4 tires going on, fuel going in, waiting on an adjustment. Don't see one for Power. He's happy, Dave.
None either for Joseph Newgarden. Last time he said said to leave the balance alone. This time as well, and once again, he'll lead his teammate off of pit road.
Yeah, but it looks like Felix Rosenqvist is going to lead them both off.
Rosenqvist, I think, was about to get lapped,
okay.
So
he's just staying on the lead.
He's
lap.
trying to stay on the lead lap. Here comes Newgarden on fresh tires. They're both on fresh tires. Watch Newgarden flex his authority to the high side, but Rosenqvist having none of it. He keeps his foot in it.
He wants to stay on that lead lap as best he can, but a full send around the outside. We talked about how important these in and out laps were, and look at the gap to Power. Joseph Newgarden absolutely dominating on this out lap compared to Will Power. 2 cars in between them.
It was also a chance to help his teammate Pato Award, who was running second. If he could have stayed in front, he might have been able to back Newgarden back up a little bit. But there's Award right behind Felix Rosenqvist.
So through that pit exchange, Pato Award has taken second place once again from Will Power.
That's super impressive. Look at how they did it. Thanks to NTT on the pit stop. Pato Award crushing it on his in lap. Shorter time on pit lane and the out lap, a 3-second advantage to Will Power.
Pit stop differential information is powered by NTT. Giving an inside look at how the race might be won.
The guys running 1, 2, 3 is a mirror image of what we saw yesterday.
So this should be a great battle between Award and Power, because I'd argue Power's had the better race car. Award's kind of hung in there. Now Award has track position. What can Will Power do to get back to that Penske 1-2?
Takuma Sato stayed out long. He had cycled to the lead, but not really in contention at this point, so he makes his stop and is back out in the Deloitte number 51 Dale Coyne with Rick Ware racing car.
So So this is where the team request might come into play. Arrow McLaren should probably ask Rosenqvist to consider letting his teammate by and then run a little interference with Will Power. Remember, Team Penske used that tactic yesterday with McLaughlin, who was several laps down.
Look at this traffic jam in front of Joseph Newgarden, 3 wide down the front straight. He puts Colton Herta a lap down now. But you're absolutely right. They should be swapping those cars immediately. Let Pato O'Ward try to get a sniff of Joseph Newgarden. Because again, think, you know, in 50, 60 laps, when you think about that final stop, we saw how quick he was on that pit cycle. He might be able to jump the two.
And you're not giving up much. If you're Rosenqvist and you fall behind O'Ward, not that big a deal. If the yellow comes out, you can get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, you're behind the leader. You're technically a lap down anyway, so you might as well just give up that one piece of track position, that one car's worth of track position.
We've talked about how decisive Joe Newgarden's been in traffic. He does it again here. 3 wide, goes to the inside of Colton Herta.
Knows that once Colton Herta clears that Meyer-Shank car, he was going to move up and just leave it a 2 wide situation going in there. But now 3 cars in front of him. He's splitting the difference, Townsend, right in the middle there, just to get a little bit of clean air from in between these 2 lap cars.
There's not another driver or racetrack on this schedule where somebody has dominated like Newgarden has at Iowa. We are watching total brilliance from the hands of Joseph Newgarden. This guy just has magic working around here.
So coming into the race today, after the dominating performance he had yesterday, Joseph Newgarden has led for 45.6% of all the laps that he's completed here at Iowa Speedway, and that number has obviously just improved with 120 already on the day.
And Newgarden would take over the championship lead if he can pull off this weekend sweep. By the way, the last to sweep an IndyCar doubleheader weekend, Graham Rahal at Detroit. That's the last time he won an IndyCar race. Dixon did it at Toronto in 2013, and then it's a long time back. Atlanta, Rick Mears in 81. Bobby Unser did it at Trenton in 79. JR did it at Atlanta that year, and Al Unser at Argentina in 71. And that's where the research stopped. We thought 50 years or so was enough. Newgarden trying to win for the 5th time at Iowa, but still a long way to go. The FedEx Cup playoffs, it's taken the PGA Tour's very best just to get to this point. Now it'll take more, everything they've got to win the ultimate prize. The FedEx Cup playoffs, August 11th through 14th on Golf Channel, NBC, and Peacock. Joseph Newgarden is in front of the Hy-Vee salute to Farmers 300 at Iowa Speedway by about 1.5 seconds on Pato O'Ward. Then it's Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, Scott Dixon, and now let's go through the field presented by Axe. And Dave Burns, we're going to start in 6th place.
Sounds good. That's the championship leader, Marcus Ericsson, who we saw once again today being aggressive because he knows that he has to keep going forward rather than let everyone come up behind him. Today, he's going to try to stop the bloodletting if he can. Newgarden on a tear, trying to close in even further, Dylan.
Behind Ericsson is Jimmy Johnson, his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate. Hasn't been quite as flashy of a day today, but equally as successful. Remember what Jimmy told us pre-race? He said, I'm expecting everybody to kind of take away my high line that I used to so much success yesterday. So he's moved around. He's done exactly what he needed to do, found the grip, and he runs in 7th right now, Dave.
20-something rookie Callum Ilott told me this morning when he ended up the second best rookie yesterday. He said, I'm not quite sure how I ended up there. This is his first race weekend at Iowa. He said it's chaos everywhere. You really don't know where you are. But once again today, Ilott is doing well, running 8th. Behind him, Felix Rosenqvist, who crashed yesterday, talked to the team. They got kicked out of the garage at 8 p.m. They got let back into the garage at 8 a.m., just like everybody else. It said the blessing was that they crashed early enough that they got a lot of work done. That car has been repaired well, and Rosenqvist runs 9th. Behind him, Romain Grosjean, the best finishing Andretti car yesterday, 7th, running in the 10th position today. Did a good job yesterday. Again, his first visit here because as a rookie last year, Iowa was not on the schedule. So Grosjean showing how he's getting it done.
All right, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dylan.
Great update and such a great run today, James, for Callum Ilott, the rookie, running in 8th position. That's so impressive on a tricky short oval like this. His first time running here, and I gotta say that there's gonna be a lot of effort from the young drivers to maybe slot themselves into position with all the drama going on with Alex Palou at Chip Ganassi Racing. There could be a seat that's open there, drivers raising their hand. It's performances like this today that could move somebody like Eilert to the front of the queue there.
And one of the other drivers whose future is uncertain is Felix Rosenqvist, who's trying to prove that he belongs. He knows he has a job next year, but he'd like it to be an IndyCar. Some concerns in this race, though. Radio communication we captured just a few moments ago.
Should I avoid braking for now? It sounds like I only had the front brake. Copy that. Looks like that.
He said the brake pedal went to the floor as well at one point. So, Hinch, how much does this impact you on the race? And then what's the concern when you make that final stop?
Well, the big concern is the final stop. They're not doing a lot of braking right now on the racetrack. Obviously, we've heard from the onboard a lot of lifting. You're coasting into the corner quite a bit, trying to take care of those tires. But as Felix tries to bring that car to pit lane for his final stop, you need everything the brake pedal will give you, and that can be a huge concern.
How much is that just knockback of the pads kind of setting back on the calipers, as bumpy as it is here at Iowa?
Yeah, the bumps and the G-load in the corners can definitely pull the pads back from the brake disc, but a few taps of the brake pedal, you get that feeling back. Felix will know that, so very unfortunate development there.
And not the only brake incident we've seen, Dylan, as you reported earlier on Christian Lundgaard having issues.
That's right, and Christian is back out on the racetrack, I believe, albeit several laps down, or actually he may be in the garage. But getting a good look there at Takuma Sato, who is having a much better day today than he was yesterday. Finished 21st, and here's why. They had an on-track incident where he collected Simon Pagenaud, which damaged the front wing on the 51 car. So they came in, changed the front wing, and it brought this car to life. Takuma said this morning that they were running times equal to Newgarden at the end of the race yesterday, so they were puzzled all race until that incident. Didn't know why the car was not doing what they wanted it to do. So it's been a much better day today. He's fallen down the leaderboard a little bit, but much happier right now behind the wheels. He runs 13th. Also, they pitted 5 laps after everybody else. They think they might be able to make it on fuel without stopping from here. It's going to be tight, but Taku might start to backslide as he tries to save fuel.
He might be able to save fuel, but there's no way to save tire around here. Track temp still 113 degrees, and even if the tires are still on the car, it's going to be such a diabolical handful to go 100 laps.
I gotta say, I think to save that amount of fuel, you would drive so slow, the tires would be fine, but you're going to be 8 laps down. I just don't see how that's a workable strategy at this point, unless they get a long caution period.
Exactly. Long caution is the only way it can happen. Let's look at this just a moment ago with Colton Herta from the Gamebridge on board.
Big slide up from David Malukas right in front of the 26 Gamebridge car. It's a bit of a no-no. We saw a little bit of that earlier when he was getting lapped by Joseph Newgarden, came right down and took the air away. So some rookie lessons, I think, being learned there from David Malukas.
There's no penalty for taking air. So wonder if Malukas is just learning or doesn't know any better because he's a young driver racing at Iowa and IndyCars for the first time, or if he's learned some of the tricks from the Masters and they've done him dirty earlier in the race.
Well, the penalty is Joseph Newgarden, who's built like a brick statue, coming at you after the race saying, hey bro, you nearly cost me a win here. So it's definitely something you want to be cautious of. Dave, what do you got?
So, Hinch, this is by far not over. With 69 laps to go, Newgarden still has to keep it in front of O'Ward and Power, his closest 2 pursuers. But I want to talk to you about when you're in the zone at a racetrack that's a little tight, and you are the man. Remember, he is called the favorite by several coming into this weekend and told me he was indifferent to the title, tries to kind of wave it off. But, Hinch, are you able to do that? And when you know you're the guy and you know your engineers and your crew put together a great car, how do you do it and keep the focus?
Dave, let me tell you, when the schedule came out for 2022, and Joseph Newgarden saw a doubleheader at Detroit, he was smiling ear to ear. He might say that, you know, these things don't affect him, but every driver thinks of it. You know, when you have a racetrack that you just click with and you look at the record, not just his wins, the races he hasn't won, he's always been in the top 5 on the podium. This guy just knows Iowa inside and out.
He was smiling before coming here, Kevin. The smile even bigger now as they run. Newgarden leading the championship by 10 points.
He may not want to be the favorite, but he may have to get used to being called the king of corn country because Joseph Newgarden is trying to win number 5 here today. And just like that, the leader who has dominated the weekend is into the wall. We've heard from Joseph Newgarden. He responded. He said he's okay. He sounded out of breath and said he does not know what happened. The leader has crashed out trying to sweep the weekend.
We have had just 1 yellow up until this moment. And all that green flag running gets the track dirtier and dirtier, and Newgarden continuing to flirt with the high line. I don't know if that's what led to this, but we'll get a chance on this replay. He's nowhere near the high line. He just loses it down low Did something break?
There was a puff of smoke there. That seemed bizarre.
Let's listen. We're going to watch again, and let's just listen.
Oh, something broke.
Failed.
Motor let go. Not his fault at all.
I'm sick to my stomach. I feel like we cursed him. We literally went to break talking about how dominant he was, but through no fault of his own, a very clear failure of some kind.
You see the left front shoot upwards as the rear end just locked up. I mean, that's like an old school go-kart seizure of the motor.
Yeah.
The whole rear axle just froze up and he spun around. I mean,
was that the motor going, or was that the floor hitting? Was there a failure in the suspension or something? Yeah, it was suspension, Townsend, because you see the left front pop up. I don't think it's from the rear's locking. I think something in the right rear maybe failed.
But did the right left front pop up just because the right rear was in full squat up on the banking? I mean, let's listen to it one more time on the on. Get a chance.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try to get back to that. I think, listen for the floor hit.
That's the limiter.
Nah, that's because one of the wheels has popped off the ground and it's spinning up. Yeah, I don't think that's a motor problem. I think something failed in the back of the car. You see it's scraping there, the floor.
That shot tells a lot. You can see something's dragging the rear end.
You see him get his hands off the wheel, go into the impact position, kind of hugging your chest. When you go backwards into a wall in an IndyCar, that's what you've got to do. Get your hands off the wheel. You have to lean back into it, which is such a hard thing to do. It's so against your natural impulse. You want to lean forward and hide from the wall, but that actually creates a whiplash situation. Can be very bad for your head, could get a concussion. So you got to be trained to kind of brace yourself and actually lean in.
You're right here, James. Watch the back of the car. You're going to see a puff of smoke just as he comes into frame. The back end of the car drops down, and right there you see something's dragging.
And you can see that the front tire's already off the ground.
Like a right rear suspension failure?
Something like that. Something like that. Such a rare thing to happen in the IndyCar series. We don't see things like that almost at all, but obviously.
Could be a rocker failed. It could be something.
Could be many different things. But to happen to the race leader, the man that was poised to take over the championship lead. Now this caution sets up a shootout for the end of the race, though, guys. We're definitely within the window for the last stop. Pato O'Ward, who inherits the lead, Will Power, and a slew of cars in the lead lap coming into the pits.
And you see that huge gap back to Will Power from Pato. They told Will to try to close up as much as he could. Not going to matter, though. 4 tires and fuel. No adjustments again for Power, Dave.
You see Pato pulling away. A nice 4-tire change for his crew, sending him back out. The 3 of Scott McLaughlin now running third. He's in as well. Remember, he had that car that was either wrecking loose or it was pushing. So they're going to make an adjustment here for Scott and send him away. Right in front of him, Scott Dixon. This will be interesting off of pit road.
That's going to be close between Dixon and McLaughlin on the line. It looks like Dixon just squeaked out in front. Marcus Ericsson comes out in front of his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Boy, this thing is completely reset now. Restart coming, Kev.
Brand new race, and we'll see it commence again in a moment. The leader of the race trying to sweep the weekend, trying to move to the NTT IndyCar points lead, which he would have done finishing it off, is on the hook. Joseph Newgarden from Nashville, Tennessee is out. And this is what happened a few minutes ago.
Yeah, just see that left front pop up skyward as something catastrophic going wrong at the back of the car. James, you're pointing to the right rear. Let's listen and watch one more time.
Watch the left front. You see it just come up a little bit. If you go back to that outside shot again, as he's coming down the track, obviously it's the left rear that hits the wall. Watch how the right rear bounces, Townsend, as he comes. See how it's bouncing? I feel like something had already let go.
Almost like a rocker broke.
You know, like a
billet. There's the billet aluminum rockers.
But just can't believe it. Joseph Newgarden, what do I have to do?
And he's talked about consistency is what we need. They've won 4 races and we're not in the championship lead. If he doesn't win it, it's going to be results like 16th at St. Petersburg, 14th at Barber, 25th in the rain at the Indy GP, 13th in the double points race, Indy 500. Those are the differences.
Remember the communication earlier, too, with Tim Cindric about maybe some vibration in the race car? I wonder if that was foreshadowing what happened here.
But look, a few seconds ago, he was going to be the championship leader by 10 points. Now he'd be all the way down in 35 if they finish as they run.
And by him dropping out.
Look at Scott Dixon just doing what he does,
with
man.
a restart, and he's had all race to figure out his race car, dial it in.
P3 in the race, sitting P3 in the championship as they run. This is just what he does. Dave Burns has the former race leader and yesterday's winner, Joseph Newgarden.
And Hinchy walked from the infield care center under his own power. You okay? It was a big hit.
Yeah, it definitely was a bit of a shot, but just, man, I want to cry. So sad for my team. I don't know what happened. I just, you know, it was a good run. I mean, it's just one race, but I feel terrible for us. You know, Team Chevy and Hitachi guys did a great job. Just, I don't know, something went wrong there.
You reported early in the race a vibration. You didn't know what it was. Team told you everything was okay. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
I'm not sure. You know, everything felt fine to me up to that point. I did have a vibration on the start of the stint, which is not abnormal. You know, tire balances always are shifting. So it's very possible that we just had a mismatched set or something, and it wasn't diabolical whatsoever. Actually, everything felt just fine. So, yeah, totally unexpected when it happened. And it caught me by surprise. I didn't know what the heck happened until I was in the wall.
You and I talked about up and down weeks. You spoke of the need for consistency. You see it there again. The booth thinks after looking at it real close that something definitely broke.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is racing. Look, this Team Penske's the best. You know, I never have this stuff. So maybe we were due. You know, we can't afford it for this year, but, you know, we'll fight back. We got a great team here.
Off to the Indy road course, what do you tell your team after today?
Oh, we pick right back up. You know what? We don't stop fighting. We'll have this just fine.
Joseph Newgarden, thankfully, okay, guys, again, out under his own power.
Man. I mean, what else can you say? You can hear it in his voice. He's just shattered to be so dominant. His team gave him such a great car. And he'll go back and look at the footage we've seen and realize that he had absolutely nothing he could have done differently. Something just let go at the back of the car, likely in the right rear, and sent him for a ride. But, I mean, he's in shock. He's simply in shock to go from leading, dominating, winning yesterday to this is inexplicable.
And you see the emotion on his face. It's so tough to win at this level of the sport. He obviously had such a great day yesterday, but had an incredible day going again. It was going to completely flip the look of the championship. That emotion, that just shows you how much of his heart and soul goes into doing this job.
It sounded at first like he feared he made a mistake, and that's why he was so frustrated that he had let the team down. He may not really know what happened, and ultimately it'll take the deep dive to figure out exactly where it went wrong. All right, let's get a reset. Nobody has to pit again. The Firestones will last. That said, if there's another caution, they might dive down. We'll have 50 laps to go. This is the same distance as the race yesterday, but 50 more today at Iowa Speedway. The Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend is green again. Pato Award, Will Power, Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin. The battle is back there for fourth. Marcus Ericsson in that red and white car looking for a look. And Jimmy Johnson going again on the high side.
Oh, that's where he loves to live. Jimmy Johnson taking advantage on the restart, putting a move on his teammate Marcus Ericsson in that red and white Husky Chocolates car. They almost touch.
And Alex Palou right behind in this battle. That's three Ganassi cars all running together. Palou a lap down, not for position, but these guys all going wheel to wheel.
I thought Jimmy Johnson might lose it there. Jimmy's got a run on Scott Dixon, but it looked awfully loose in turns 1 and 2.
It was a mess.
Oh, he almost lost it again. Jimmy Johnson's all over the track.
He knows how to drive a loose race car. He's proved that time and time again.
That's 2 saves in 1 lap.
Bit of a messy restart behind the leaders, but up front now it's all action. Jimmy Johnson controlling this race car, this American Legion machine, chasing down Scott Dixon.
Man.
In fifth right now, up front, Pato Award held off Will Power for the restart.
And McLaughlin got ahead of Scott Dixon on that one, as we see Romain Grosjean trying to clear Alex Palou so he can get after Marcus Ericsson.
Colton Herta back there in that black and yellow car going to the low side. That is Graham Rahal on the high side.
Rahal's a lap down. Colton Herta running into 8th, trying to catch his teammate Romain Grosjean for a rookie at Iowa in IndyCar. Grosjean is having a terrific weekend, a really quick learner, and he loves this aggressive, almost violent ride around Iowa. He's got big, strong hands, and he is not afraid to put it right on the edge.
So all 4 of the Ganassis were there running together, but Alex Palou is a lap down in that green and white Ridgeline car running in 13th.
Grosjean made his oval debut last year when he was driving for Dale Coyne at Gateway. Another short track, had a really good performance for his first time on that type of racetrack, and now really taking to Iowa. 2 Andretti Autosport cars in the top 10 right now. A nice bounce back from that team, which has really struggled so far this weekend. This race would have been over yesterday already. An extra 50 laps giving these drivers a chance to go to battle one last time on fresh tires.
Now the reason they're all being so aggressive is this will be the shortest stint they have to go all day. All those green flag stints were 60 to 70 laps. This thing's 43 to the finish after that long yellow, so you can afford to use up a little more tire and fight for track position. Watch this. Jimmy to the high side, watch those hands. Loosens up, loosens up, loosens up. That was one. There was 2 more that were even more dramatic.
Cold tires, full fuel, bumpy racetrack. Obviously a lot more rubber on the surface now at the end of the race than there would have been on the initial start. And Jimmy just not afraid to hang this thing out.
But look at how he's gapped Marcus Ericsson, a second and a half in front of the winner of this year's Indianapolis 500.
And at the very front, Pato O'Ward's got a healthy 1.1 second gap over Will Power, but he's only a handful of laps away from catching the back of the queue right now. That's the 33 of Ed Carpenter. Will be the first car he comes across.
40 laps to go, 40 to go, plus
Dave,
1 second to
tell us more about the leader, Pato O'Ward.
A couple of things on Pato. Told me that yesterday they made their car better every stint. He was really proud of that. Remember, no changes on this last stop, so it's good for him now. But consider this. When he finished second yesterday, he said one of the reasons in his mind was because of all the work he had to do to not only get by Will Power for second, but to get through the lap traffic. This restart, fresh Firestones, no traffic, no hard work. How much better do you think that'll benefit Pato now?
And he's one of those drivers that was maybe on the outside a little bit looking in, coming into the weekend for the championship. He was 75 points out, 6th in the championship coming in. If he can make this hold, he'd be within 36. Let's listen to some radio.
Pato, when we reach traffic, what line do you want? The Chevys will help us.
I'll take the higher line.
That's awfully nice. It's like valet service is the race leader. What line do you want the slower cars to take as Sato and Maluka's teammates? But it wouldn't appear so, as close as they got right there coming off of 4.
Guys, you just can't overstate the job that David Malukas is doing right now as a rookie. You've got his teammate Takuma Sato, an absolute veteran of this sport. Tons of IndyCar starts to his names, over 200 of them, and he is going wheel to wheel, just the smallest amount of contact. You can't get away with much more than that, Townsend.
Malukas has been a hard guy to get around today, but he's also having a pretty solid day behind the wheel. Running 9th on the lead lap.
And with Christian Lundgaard having his problems, that's going to close up the rookie battle quite a bit. Lundgaard with a healthy lead at the minute, about 20-ish points coming into this weekend.
Graham Rahal getting around Alex Palou. They're both 1 lap down. That's Rahal taking the 13th position.
But remember, their race is not done. A caution, and they get back on the lead lap. If the car is good, they could still make up some spots.
Listen,
and maybe finish top 5.
Caution comes at any moment. You might see this whole field duck on pit lane for fresh tires.
Leaders dealing with traffic right now. Ed Carpenter in the Alzaman Neuro car.
He said the Chevys will help you out. I want the high line. There's Ed Carpenter driving around on the high line. I guess he didn't get the message from Jim Campbell.
Hinch, I think I have a reason. They told him, hey, Pato, the 33 is probably going to stay to the high side because his car's not very good, and that's where it's handling the best.
All right, as long as he had the heads up there, that helps. So the next car he's coming up on.
Fine.
Dalton Kellett and then Jack Harvey. So he's going to start hitting some Hondas here soon. I promise you, they are not going to be helping him with the line.
Well, what if the Chevy Will Power radios ahead and says, hey, I need the Chevys to help me bring O'Ward back to me? How does that play out?
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works. Right now, they've got a lock on the podium. I think that's all they're thinking about is the Dale Coyne Racing teammates still battle it out for 10th, 9th, and 10th.
Sato looks pretty determined in this battle. Now you've got Colton Herta there in 8th as Malukas reels in Herta. Sato to the high side with a run. Malukas shuts it down. It's a bit like what Will Power was doing earlier with Pato O'Ward behind, turning in high, late, apexing, and then letting the car wash all the way up to take away the air at the exit. He's got to be careful here. Sato has a really good run now.
I was going to say, David Malukas seems to prefer the low line, but so does Colton Herta, so that's giving Takuma Sato some clean air up top. Now it's David Malukas with a clean air up top, and Sato pushes way up, has to get out of the throttle to avoid contact. Big momentum loss there for the 51. Colton Herta's looking back behind him. He just wants these two to keep battling. 27 laps to go, 28 laps to go rather. He wants them battling as much as he can as Pato O'Ward now still working through lap traffic. That's Jack Hy-Vee in the Hy-Vee Honda for Rahal Lennerman Racing going by. And he's going to be hitting a thick lineup of cars now.
Marcus Ericsson just got Jimmy Johnson to get back to 5th. Pato O'Ward, the leader, has really taken to oval racing. Like so many, his background from go-karts was road course racing. 13 previous oval starts. He's got a win at Texas last year. He's got 9 top 5s, 13 previous oval starts. And let's go through the field again, presented by Axe. And we start, Dave, with the leader.
Pato O'Ward is the leader. Remember all that planning we were talking about? Give me the high line, give me the low line with the Chevys. Well, finally, Pato said, you know, this isn't working. Just let me do my thing. So watch Pato go through them. It may not be anything planned ahead, high or low, Dylan.
And Dave, for Will Power running second, they told him that Pato can run that 3rd lane in traffic. That may open up a couple bottom lanes for Will if he gets there. But the biggest thing they also told Will was just remember the big picture here. A couple guys have had a tough day. We don't want to do anything to give us away. So if they've got a car that can finish second, they want to take a car that can finish second, Dave.
Much better day today for New Zealander Scott McLaughlin. Remember yesterday, trouble on pit road. Today, perfection. He said he had a podium finishing worthy car. He's showing it now. He runs in 3rd. Behind him, Scott Dixon, also another New Zealander by way of America now. Dixon is running so well today because of what they learned yesterday. Told me they'd make some changes. They did so. His teammate behind him, Marcus Ericsson, he of course the championship leader, has been working on not only protecting but being aggressive, and he's been doing it today. Marcus in the red and white Husky chocolate car runs currently in the 5th position, Dylan.
Another Chip Ganassi Racing car is 6th. That's Jimmy Johnson. Seen a couple big saves out of him today. He talked about how he's learned how quick these cars can come around. You can't drive out of a slide like you can in some of the heavier cars he's used to, so he's had to adjust to that and has done so well.
And Jimmy Johnson is taking a look at Marcus Ericsson once again, but there's Ed Carpenter on the high line. That is going to thwart the progress right now of Johnson, and he's going to come to the low side, and it's almost 3 wide for just a moment. Still ducking in. Now he gets in front of Carpenter, and Johnson is still on the attack.
I wonder if at this point there's someone for management at Chip Ganassi Racing saying, hey Jimmy, I know you're having the best race of your career, but that guy's leading the championship. We need him to collect every possible point.
And the team is 4th, 5th, and 6th in this race right now. But Jimmy Johnson having his best day, frankly, in IndyCar racing to date, been very aggressive, the most creative driver on the track in terms of experimenting with racing lines, and now he's trying to put it all together with 20 laps to go for his first top 5 finish.
Meanwhile, Colton Herta running in 11th. Big moment for him just a bit ago.
Takuma Sato sliding up the racetrack a little bit. Contact again. That's the second massive wiggle we've seen off of 4 for Herta. Nearly gets into the wall. Let's watch the onboard here.
Side.
I guess possession is 9/10 of the law. Takuma possessed a slight lead there at the corner exit. That was not very forgiving.
No, I mean,
Colton Herta.
You could hear he was trying to get out of it, but at that point the car was just sort of sliding, and Colton unfortunately really couldn't do anything and dealt with that pretty well, but it's going to cost him a bit of time.
We see hip checks on road courses. It's now an oval thing here at Iowa.
Felix Rosenquist now is challenging. We heard about that brake concern. Rosenquist got through the last pit stop with no issues.
Well, luckily for him, it was under yellow. That kind of negates having to be too hard on the brakes coming in. But Takuma Sato not only cleared his teammate, David Malukas. He's now cleared Felix Rosenqvist. He's got his eyes on Romain Grosjean now, up ahead in 7th place.
And a nice run from Rosenqvist to come back from that very challenging crash yesterday. It was a pretty big hit right here in turn 2. Got in early, hit the bump, the rear let go, he hit the turn 2 wall. So for Rosenqvist, if he could finish top 7, top 6 maybe even in the closing laps, that'd be a nice recovery.
Jimmy Johnson back on the inside of Marcus Ericsson. Marcus has been liking that high line. We know that's Jimmy's preferred line. See if he can make the bottom of the racetrack work to make a move on the 8 here. But like we said, there's championship implications to Johnson going by Marcus Ericsson right now.
Jimmy has to go high in 3 and 4. Looks like he's taken low in 1 and 2, but right now, where he goes will be determined by where Ericsson goes, and that's determined by the car in front of Marcus Ericsson.
Which I believe is the number 4 of Dalton Kellett at the moment. Oh,
Here's
big run here. Here we go. This could be it.
It's a great chance for Jimmy.
Marcus still has the line he wants. He's going to try to roll the outside. Just wheeling it. He's going to get a bit of a draft help here from Dalton Kellett. Dalton laps down.
Oh, but Jimmy's been running high in 3 and 4. Oh, it works out. He's got an even better run this time.
Here he comes.
Brilliant stuff.
On the current championship leader, Marcus Ericsson, red and white car on the high side, is not ready to give it up.
Oh, big wiggle for the 48-2 down low. That'll get his attention.
He's just rolling so much throttle through the middle of the corner when he can get to that high line, but Marcus is happy up there, not letting him take it, is now Felix Rosenqvist trying to get that spot back from Takuma Sato off of 4.
4-8. Clear.
Rosenqvist did a nice job there to leave Sato with a lot of room, as Rosenqvist says, let's go, feeling good.
Spotter Bobby Dalzell and strategist Billy Vincent hyping up their driver, 10 laps to go. Can they make any ground and catch up to Romain Grosjean, try to take a stab at one more spot?
And Pato O'Ward inherited the lead with Joseph Newgarden, who had led 148 laps today after dominating yesterday, crashed out with what it looks like might have been a mechanical issue and no driver fault. So O'Ward is in position to win, and that also shakes up the championship because Newgarden would have taken over the championship lead. Jimmy Johnson going at it again, and this time he has cleared Marcus Ericsson.
Oh, a little wiggle though. He's not going to have as much momentum coming off at 2. Marcus in the draft might look low here.
I think it's just enough though. Johnson was able to slide up. He got Ericsson to lift off at 2 slightly. And now Jimmy's got clean air and could go after his other teammate, Scott Dixon. As you see the replay, it was Jack Hy-Vee checking up Ericsson at the exit coming off of 4.
And that's what we said about these decisions in traffic. You know, Marcus just got caught up behind the 45, but if I'm management at Chip Ganassi Racing, I'm talking about this, and Felix Rosenqvist has caught Romain Grosjean in the number 28 DHL Honda. And he goes by.
It's clear. Good job.
On a tear these last few laps. Can he catch up to Marcus Ericsson now? I don't think so. A little bit too far off. 3.5-second gap to them right now with only 6 laps to go. Not likely, but Johnson going back. We saw the point structure shift. It was a 10-point lead for Marcus Ericsson when he was running 5th leaving here. It's an 8-point if he's leaving in 6th. If I'm Chip Ganassi management, I don't like that. We've seen championships come down to a tie. He needs every point he can get.
By the way, this is the 300th consecutive start today for Scott Dixon. He is within the end of next season of catching and passing Tony Kanaan. 318 is the all-time record for consecutive starts.
Also a start milestone for Helio Castroneves, who's starting today. He's making his 369th IndyCar start, which I believe ties him on the all-time start list with AJ Foyt. So a big day for both those drivers in terms of career starts.
Meanwhile, Pato O'Ward protecting a 4-second lead with 4 laps to go. It'll be 3 at the line.
Healthy gap over Will Power. He's really just controlled this final stint. Will hasn't had anything for him.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. It seemed like Team Penske, certainly with Newgarden's car, had the advantage and Will Power, but later on in this race, the track temp is down almost 10 degrees from the start. It's almost like things have really come the direction of the McLaren team, with both O'Ward and Rosenqvist finishing stronger than anybody else.
As they run, this would move Potts O'Ward into 5th in the championship, a 1st and a 2nd on a doubleheader weekend. That's a record to be proud of leaving here if they can seal this thing out with Only a little bit to go, coming to the white flag this time.
Pato O'Ward's 3 previous wins have been on different types of tracks. This would be the 4th different type of track. A super speedway, a street course, a road course, and potentially a short oval. Less than a mile to go for Pato O'Ward. He's got a win already this season. He's been trying to fight back into the championship mix. They've had bad luck at times. Today, some good luck. Start number 50 for Pato O'Ward is win number 4. O'Ward is back in the championship mix. Wins the second half of the Hy-Vee IndyCar doubleheader in Iowa.
Way to go, boys. Way to go. Awesome weekend. Let's go. Nice job, baby. Nice job. We're going to do an extra lap here, just like yesterday.
Penske's complete the podium with Will Power and Scott McLaughlin. It's a double podium weekend for Power, who stays very much in the championship fight. Dixon, Johnson, Erickson from Ganassi, 4, 5, 6. Jimmy Johnson has a top 5. We've got winners to talk to and much more.
And if this was poker, this cat just leaned forward and grabbed all the chips this weekend. Max points for Pato O'Ward.
Victory Lane is up next at Iowa.
Awesome scene at the start-finish line. Pato O'Ward climbing from the McLaren number 5. He has won today at the Iowa Speedway. Second race of a twin bill in front of a huge crowd in Newton, Iowa. What an afternoon it has been for him. And as he gets unbuckled and ready to take on all the questions that people have for him, I'll have to say it was a pretty good weekend for him. Yesterday, came through the field at the end of the race, finished in the 2nd position, and we talked about the fact that he just needed a little bit more, but that they'd made the car great all day long yesterday. They've done the same today. We'll let him get a quick drink of water. And Pato O'Ward, who has now won on 4 different types of tracks in the NTT IndyCar Series, shows today why the short tracks could be a part of his go-to future in IndyCar. Temperatures down today versus yesterday, but you can tell these drivers have all been working hard in these Indy cars. Pato, don the number 1 hat there, and let's talk about this victory today. I believe the pass for the win may have been done on pit road. Your whole crew, the team, did a great job today.
It was, man. I mean, the number 5, our McLaren SP, guys in the pits were awesome. I think that's what gave us our win. Obviously, I did the job in the car to keep her safe and just to maintain there. I knew we had the pace, but it's just tough whenever you're going through the traffic. You know, the guys in front of you have it in a different way than you do, so it's different every lap. So yeah, super stoked, super happy. We knew that we had a great car, so I think it was all about just capitalizing and being there when it counted. And yeah, the guys did a great job calling when we had to pit, and it was very, very enjoyable. I got to thank Team Chevy, Aero McLaren SP, Aerotronics, Velo Mission. Yeah, it's been a great weekend.
How did you get through the traffic? Because we heard the planning, and then the planning kind of went out the window, and you got through the traffic anyway.
When?
When they were trying to tell you low or high?
Yeah, I knew no one was going to listen anyway, so I felt like it was a little too good to be. Oh, you know, pick a lane. Other guys are going to, no, they don't care. So, yeah, I just think the best thing you can do in that scenario is just do your thing, and we got by them nice and smoothly.
5 more races. How many can you win? Can you take the championship?
I mean, hopefully we can win a couple more. That'd be fantastic. I think we've had a good year, but we've dumped two wins that in the past couple months. So it's definitely been a frustrating but yet rewarding few weeks. But yeah, this is the perfect momentum we need going into the month of September and August. And obviously close out the month of July in IMS Road Course next week.
All right, Pato O'Ward to victory lane today. A second yesterday, and today one better. The right way to go to the top today. Let's head down pit lane to Nate Ryan.
Thanks, Dave. Career best finish, 5th place in the IndyCar Series for Jimmy Johnson at Iowa Speedway. One less spin than yesterday, but the same hard fighting with everybody out there. How did this feel when I saw you get the hug from Scott Pruitt, fist bumping on your teammates? Where does this rank, Jimmy, in your storied career?
Yeah, this is a really special day for me, for everybody that's been on this journey with me in the IndyCar Series. I'm so proud to have the American Legion on the car today in the race and get my career best finish with them. Their Be the One campaign that's going on. but I really have to thank everybody at Carvana and taking the step with me. A couple of years ago when we had this idea, Ernie Garcia Jr. believed in this idea, and we knew that we could run well. It took me getting on the ovals to get my best finishes, and I'm so happy I was able to do it here today. But tons of great support from Chip Ganassi Racing, all the teammates that I have, and today was just a fun race day out there.
You raced really hard with your teammate Marcus Ericsson, who's also the points leader right now in IndyCar. Any nervousness about being so close, so tight with him on the track?
No, I mean, I race my teammates with the most respect I possibly can. You know, every race I've been in, I've just given way. And that was really kind of the first time that I fought for a position. And it's because I felt like I should have been up there passing the 9 car. I made a mistake and got up in the marbles. I really feel like a podium was within our reach. But today, you know, today I had it in me. I raced everybody clean and hard, and just had an awesome day.
So we're not done at Iowa Speedway. Your buddy Blake Shelton is playing a concert right out here. Are you sticking around to see Blake?
If I stick around, I'm going to have to drink some beer. So we'll see how I feel after this, how dehydrated I am. I know he's going to have a big time, and a big thanks to Hy-Vee for putting on such a great event this weekend. To have the 4 big acts, all the car racing, it's been a really cool weekend here in Iowa.
Jimmie Johnson finishes 5th. Let's go to Dylan Welch.
Nate, Scott Dixon was a hard charger today, plus 14 from 18th starting position, ends up 4th today. I know you wanted a podium, but how strategic was your day today to carve through the field?
It might have been more than that. I think we're back on the first start. So, yeah, it was a little frustrating on the restarts again, just so much bottoming. You know, so it was hard to attack. Tried to attack on the last one and just couldn't pull it off. You know, that the top 3 there were very quick. I don't think we had the ultimate pace on the early laps, but, you know, the long one was really good for us, and I think that's what kind of gave it to us today, you know, to pass all those cars. But a lot of racing there with fellow Kiwi, and congrats to him getting a podium. But, yeah, points. Good points day for us. We're only 30-something back, which is great.
Yeah, 34 back and tied for 3rd right now. Good day for Scott Dixon and the 9 team, Dave.
Will Power, another good day for him. Unfortunately, we're not talking about a win. I'm talking about another podium with you, which is great. But was it the same as yesterday? What were you lacking today?
Actually, today in was the second to last stint, I backed, like just sat there thinking to save my tyres, because the last stint I overdrove yesterday, but the track really came on. Like, it was crazy how grippy and fast it was, but still a good day. I mean, you would love to get the win. You know, led some laps, and I think we were really fast. But yeah, it's really cool to get the Verizon Chevy on the podium again and close out the points lead. And got to get one of these wins here soon.
You can't be far off.
No, I mean we're there. We get qualifying sorted, but just enjoying it, loving it, loving the racing, love this track, and can't thank Hy-Vee enough for this event they put on. It's massive, sold out both days, and really well presented track and great racetrack. So those guys, everyone needs to thank them.
Joseph, again, had a good day until the problem with the car. When you see something like that and you're heard over the radio from your team, do you have concerns about your own race car?
No, I did not know that it was a suspension failure. So, yeah, if I heard that, you do start to get worried. But, yeah, I just thought my spotter said, oh, he made a mistake in traffic. But, yeah, that's tough, man, having that sort of thing, lead as many laps as he did and then have something break. Yeah, I feel bad for him. Like, nothing worse than that, ending up in the wall because it's not your fault.
All right, we'll see you next week in Indy. Another strong run for Will Power, and we'll step right next door here, 3rd place on the podium today. You told me you had one yesterday and it got away. You had it today and you scored.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gutted for Joseph, obviously leading, but yeah, that last restart, I really had to sort of just get it going and threw it around the outside of Dixon. Is pretty hard guy to throw around the outside of, and had a lot of fun and a lot of respect with him. So it was good times. Freightliner Chevy was fast. It looked awesome all weekend, and yeah, really proud of the guys to bounce back. But yeah, I was bumping before the race. I'm a closet Gwen Stefani fan, so I was sort of just hanging out, listening to that, and got all pumped up for the race, and then yeah, just had to sort of settle myself down and managed to bring it home.
That high line, was that your comfort zone, or was that a little bit of a bold move for you to get around Dixon that way?
My car felt really good there all day. I really struggled to run the bottom. As soon as cars ran the bottom, I just went straight up high, and yeah, man, I just threw it in there and hope for the best, really, and yeah, come out the other side and we're right.
And I think next week might look a little good for you too, going to the Indy road course. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm excited. I messed up qualifying there when we were there. We had a really fast car, so I'm really excited to get back there. It's a Gallagher Grand Prix, and I'm going to be in the Gallagher Chevy, so it only seems right we get into victory lane or on the podium. It'd be fantastic.
And do we need to have a concert ahead of time to help you?
I would love that. I mean, I'll speak to the boss, but I'm I'm gonna bump on to Blake Sheldon now and have a beer and hang out and see what it's like.
Let's see what Blake and Gwen are up to next week. Maybe they can help this guy out again. Scott McLaughlin, third today in a strong run.
And that's why everybody's gathered there. That's the stage. Blake Shelton is coming up in a few minutes. It's time for the Children's Miracle Network moment of the race. Pato Award winning. How about this for somebody voting for more doubleheaders? The last 3 IndyCar doubleheaders, Pato Award has won race 2 of the doubleheader here. Detroit last year and Texas Motor Speedway last year.
Practice makes perfect. Give him a chance to learn all the tricks. He'll put it to good use.
And he almost swept this weekend, second and first. And don't forget, if you want to see more racing today, NASCAR is on USA right now at Pocono. We'll continue here, though, IndyCar from Iowa in a moment. Podium celebrations are underway. Scott McLaughlin, the first to take his spot on the podium after the Hy-Vee Salute to Farmers 300 at Iowa Speedway. Pato Award is won. We certainly thought Joseph Newgarden was going to be a part of this celebration after dominating yesterday. He was well on his way, leading 140 laps plus today, and then this happened.
He had everything. He did everything right. He just didn't have the luck. Certainly looked like the right rear suspension letting go. We had a report maybe that it was the right rear damper failing as Team Penske inspects the damage, and Newgarden can only think, what if? What should have been?
So let's look at what the points might have been had Newgarden finished off and won the race. Lap 236 of 300 is when he crashed. He would be up by 10 points. Instead, he's down by 34.
Well, and if there's any blessing to come out of this, certainly not for Newgarden, but for all IndyCar fans, it's this. 6th place would have been 57 points. Now, Pelot's in 5th at 44 out. The championship has just only gotten tighter, and Scott Dixon just 34 out as he chases his 7th championship.
Let's go to Dylan Welch.
And Marcus Ericsson is still leading the points, albeit by just 8 now after a doubleheader here at Iowa. So let's start with your day first. What did you think of your car at the end there and your battle with your teammate Johnson?
Yeah, I think we had a great day, starting 15th and working our way up to, I think, 4th at one point. And then towards the end, we lost a bit of balance the last stint and a half. The car went a bit oversteery. And I couldn't really keep up the pace the last stint and a half. And then I had a great battle with Jimmy. He's, you could tell his experience on the ovals. He was doing a really good job at placing his car and placing it where I wasn't. So you could tell he has all the experience, and I'm still learning on the ovals. I'm still, especially on these short ovals, I still feel like I have some stuff to learn. But it was fun. It was really fun. I tried really hard to keep him behind, but he drove really well.
The points gap has tightened up. You're still on the right side of it, but is there anything that concerns you about the next couple weeks and that gap shrinking any further? Are you guys comfortable where you're at?
No, I'm very happy. If you would have told me before the weekend that we would leave still in the lead, I think that would have taken that, because we knew this is our weakest track on the calendar and it's a double header. So we were pretty worried about it, even though we tried to put on the sort of stone face and saying we were all good. But we were pretty worried about this weekend. Obviously, coming in with a lead and leaving, okay, well, it's a bit closer, we were still ahead, so I'm really happy about that. Now we're going to tracks where we know we're strong, so I'm really excited for the rest of the year.
And he'll head back to Indianapolis next week, of course, where he won on the oval at the 500. We'll bring Felix Rosenqvist in here, another Swede, as Marcus finishes 6th and Felix finishes 7th. So nice recovery for you guys after a tough day yesterday. How'd you feel about your run this afternoon?
Yeah, it was a good day for the team. Thanks for Team Chevy, Arrow, Velo, Mission. I think we, Pato is up there in victory circle. Good to see. I had a really good car today as well. I think I was aiming for a top 3 today. We had a brake issue going on, so I really had issues stopping in my pit box both the last 2 stops, so we pretty much lost a lap due to that. But the car was incredible. We managed to recover really well with the issue we had, and I think that's kind of what we had in it today with that. So a big thanks to the team. Congratulations. I'll see if I can go celebrate with my brother.
And one more before you go on that brake issue. What can you do? We saw a couple of cars have brake issues today, but what can you do when you're coming into the box just to try to make sure it gets stopped?
Man, you just have to brake very early. I mean, I braked probably like...
By the way, don't get run over here. This truck's coming behind you.
I braked probably 6 boxes before my one, and we had a clear in. Everyone, actually 27 made a really good job giving room for me to go straight in, but it wasn't enough. I still locked up and went like half a car far. So yeah, unfortunate, but I'm happy for the team, happy for a P7 with that issue. I think it was a good day.
All right, I understand there was a pre-race ritual that you and Pato partook in today. Is that right? Can you clue us in on that? I think we have it on video here. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, you know, it's
not much gets by us. You know that, right?
No, it's important to when you have a brother, you need to wrestle him down every now and then just to show who's boss.
That's right. Felix had a good day today. Finishes 7th, and of course his teammate Pato in victory lane here at Iowa.
Yeah, everybody has their pre-race ritual to loosen you up before you go out and drive rocket ships on a little tiny track at 180 miles an hour.
You ever put hands on me, it'll be the last time. I'm telling you now, Hinch.
Oh, come on, little brother.
The podium celebration continues, and I bet that feels good right now.
What do you think feels better, the ice bath he took yesterday or the champagne spray he's getting now?
I vote for now, very much so. Back downstairs to Dave.
And while 7th yesterday and 9th today may not be where you want to be in the final standings for Romain Grosjean, who has never been here before in races, are you pleased with that?
Yeah, I'm very proud of the whole weekend. From my mechanics at the pit stop, my engineer Olivier at the setup, and the guys behind it, and my driving. Honestly, it's my first time in Iowa. I finished best of the team on both races and best of my Shank as well. So, you know, with Elio and Simon Pagenaud and Rossi and Herta, they've got so much experience on ovals that just being able to represent the best color myself, I'm really happy with that. Obviously, now we need to find a bit more performance on the car. Yesterday, I think we had a really good one. Without a couple of pit stops that weren't perfect, it would have been better. Today, we struggled a bit more with the car, but still we hang in there, and I made a good job to finish 7th and 9th. So for the first time in Iowa, only second time on short oval, I'm pretty happy.
How challenging is it when your car is working well and you come up on one of those drivers with hundreds of more laps here than you? How challenging is that?
I mean, sometimes it's good not to know what you're going to get into, just because you've got no expectation. But yeah, it's a challenging racetrack. I'm glad we came testing here. Just only the pit exit is so bumpy and so slippery. You don't want to make a mistake and spin and go from the apron to the racetrack. So there was a lot of that. Honestly, we ran a really good race. My spotter was really good at it. I finally understood after following yesterday Dixon that you have to cut the line from the other guy, even if it's not a preferred line. You have to, if you use the low line, you go down the low line, and then the opposite. So that's something new I learned. I had no idea about taking the win from the other guy, but now I know how to do it. So that's pretty cool.
Next week we go back to something you're more familiar with, Indianapolis, but on the road course. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, I think we're going to make some changes on the car. The last few road courses haven't been really good to us, but we found a few bits and pieces that weren't quite what we wanted on the car. So hopefully we go there. I'm glad to turn right on the brake a little bit, but definitely I'm getting more and more acquainted with oval, and I like it.
Sure showed what he could do this weekend in Iowa. Romain Grosjean, 7th yesterday, 9th today. Nate?
Dave, talking to David Malukas, who top rookie today, finishing 8th, better than 14th yesterday, a little less drama, but I understand it was still a very chaotic race for you out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's less drama with, you know, my air pipe and water, and, you know, I'm not choking this time. I learned my lesson. But no, it was a lot more chaotic on the track. You know, today was 300 laps, yesterday was 250, but today felt a lot shorter for me because every lap was either I'm making a move or setting up for a move. It was a chaotic race, an amazing joy. You know, I was going to say before today, I was like, I don't know if I'm a big fan of Iowa, but after today, that was my favorite race by far this season. I love Iowa after today.
And you had some moments with your teammate, Takuma Sato. What's it like, I guess, when you're racing that tight around a teammate like that?
Yeah, you know, you want to race hard at the end. You know, it's for a position, but at the same time, it is your teammate. So we had a lot of close calls, though. I think we were pushing it both together. You know, we both were making big lunges, but thankfully our spotters, I'm pretty sure working together. Pancho would tell me, you know, oh, he's going in deep. Oh, he's washing high. You know, like, you know, give him room. You know, just so we don't tap and, you know, have an accident or anything like that. But all in all, it was a very good battle between me and Takuma, and, you know, he pushed me all the way till the end.
And as I mentioned, top finishing rookie, 8th place today. Do you feel like you're turning some heads here in the IndyCar series?
Yeah, I mean, ever since month of May, you know, the team's kind of flipped a switch, and, you know, we've kind of getting our chemistry together. I know what I want from the car, the team knows what I want, and it's all just really coming together. Everybody's just getting such a good relationship from the mechanics to the engineers. It's just all around, all smiles, and yeah, another great result for the team.
Another great result here for David Malukas, 8th for Dale Coyne. Let's go to Dylan Welch.
And his Dale Coyne Racing teammate, Takuma Sato, checking out the results right now. So David was just talking about how much he enjoyed racing with you. What about your take in racing your younger teammate? He's fast.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, we had a pretty good stint on the last one. So, yeah, it's good respect side by side. And then, yeah, it was a really great day.
We talked in race about the wing change you guys made in race yesterday and how that affected your car. How much better was it today for you?
It was much better at the start off. You could say I was holding the basically race leaders and P4 for a long time, and we knew the undercut is definitely gained some positions, but then having had 300 laps with under the green race, you will sacrifice for the last stint. So basically we had to stick the plan, and then even the middle stint that we basically read the race, which means we were the last person to dive into the pit. So if the last yellow, which unfortunately for the new garden didn't happen, then I think we are the only one to made it. But anyway, it's a tough to say after that. So, but doing that, we lost a bunch of the track position because I was fuel saving. So in the end, on the last sprint, I had to make some position that back and then use them a tire at the early part of the race, and that's why it's a little pity that the finishing P10 after starting P4.
How tough would that have been on that last stint to save the fuel you needed, but also have any tire left at the end as hard as they were falling off early in the run?
The initial part was pretty good. I think Harton and I was working together to hit the number basically for the fuel number, where other people basically sprinting and then they're gone, which is fine. But then that part was really good. But then once the yellow came, that was game over for us.
All right, good day for Dale Coyne Racing. Takuma Sato finishes 10th.
Dylan, a good weekend for the rookies too. Malukas finished ahead of his teammate Takuma Sato with his best career finish in 8th, and others did well too, Townsend.
Yeah, but how about Callum Ilott? I look at the two-day total for the rookies. How much did a rookie accomplish on day one? What did they learn and put it to work in day two? And Callum Ilott comes out on top on that scorecard. 40 points total scored. Malukas second at 35. So for Callum Ilott, kid that grew up in the UK, really a Formula One focused development for him to come to IndyCar, no oval experience whatsoever. To come out on top is really impressive.
And still doing it with a one-car team, no teammate to pull off of. Like David Malukas has a wealth of experience in a teammate from Takuma Sato, and a team that's new to the sport essentially. They're doing their first full-time season, so there's a lot to be proud of for that group, as well as this young man right here. He just continues to impress, Townsend. But both of those drivers really making a statement, and unfortunate for Christian Lundgaard after a solid run yesterday to have those mechanical problems. But we've got a great rookie battle shaping up here.
Well, especially as we enter the silly season, Kevin, this part of the summer, late July, early August, you'd have to think that one of these two rookies, Malukas or Ilott, is well positioned to be plucked into a golden opportunity with a top 3 or 4 team.
All still to be determined where people are going to end up in 2023.
It's happened 2 years in a row. You think back to Alex Palou, drove for Dale Coyne back in 2020. He was with Chip Ganassi Racing in 2021. In 2021, Romain Grosjean drove for Dale Coyne Racing. Boom. An Andretti Autosport seat opens up. This young man right here is definitely opening some eyes as David Malukas. And who knows? There's a lot of weird stuff happening in the silly season right now.
For Dale Coyne's sake, I hope he's got David Malukas on a long-term
exactly.
ironclad contract, but we shall see. Well, speaking of one of those impressive rookies, Nate Ryan has caught up to Callum Ilott.
I indeed have, Kevin. So 11th today, 12th yesterday. Pretty good debut for the first time on a short oval in IndyCar.
Yeah, very solid. No, I'm pretty proud of myself for the weekend. We improved the whole weekend, and the team did a great job. I mean, we found the pace in the car for that final race, and I think got up to 8th at one point on pure pace from P22. So really happy with that, and big thanks to the guys.
And you seem to just keep improving, Callum, even though you have no oval experience before this year. I was just asking David Malukas if he feels like he's turning heads. Do you feel like the job you're putting on out there, not only turning heads with the fans, but also with people here in the paddock?
Yeah, I think so.
Does that bode well for the future?
Possibly, we'll see.
All right, that's the thoughts of Callum Ilott.
That's cryptic.
Yeah, that almost makes me feel like he knows more than he's sharing.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you don't know where contracts stand. We've already learned a lot about options and who has them. And look at this. They've just opened up the infield for those that are lucky enough to be front stage for Blake Shelton. It's coming up as Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend continues. Not done yet at Iowa. IndyCar is back Saturday afternoon. NASCAR is there as well. Xfinity races on NBC right after IndyCar Saturday. The Cup Series on Sunday.
Motorsports buffet, all you can eat at Indy. I'm excited to see this guy, A.J. Allmendinger, former IndyCar driver, back to defend that win that he had last year. But all the concerts here in Iowa have also been a buffet of entertainment, James.
Yeah, I mean, it was a roasting day yesterday, but the fans were happy to stand out there, watch Tim McGraw and Florida Georgia Line do their stuff. And then today, took over with Gwen Stefani pre-race, and coming up here any minute now, her better half coming out to rock who's sticking around for Blake Shelton here at Iowa Speedway.
Gwen Stefani's show, I could hear it in the background while we were getting ready, was really, really good today. And you know Blake Shelton can put on a show, and the fans are already gathered for that coming up in just a few minutes. Just a thought on Hy-Vee, the way they've activated, the way they've made this event. IndyCar and Penske Entertainment have done a lot of this to get it going, but it doesn't happen without Hy-Vee grocery stores.
Well, and it's only generated curiosity for me. I've never been in a store. I'm going right now because they've done such a good job. I saw the convenience store they had on site. I will not leave this state until I go into a Hy-Vee store for the first time.
They really just raised the bar, I think, on activation here at races like this. A huge credit to them and the support of the Ray L. Letterman Lanigan Racing Squad, and I think every single fan here today would be appreciative of all the efforts they put into this event.
And we're going to see some others coming up on the schedule. The Bomarito Automotive Group does it very well in St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Big Machine Label Group does it up in Nashville for the Music City Grand Prix coming up in a couple of weeks. And we go back to Indy next week with the championship still right there for the taking.
It really is as close as you want it. Top 5 drivers covered by just 36 points. We saw a 44-point swing for Joseph Newgarden just from one lap to the next, so it just shows you how wide open this series still is with a handful of races to go.
We talk about the big three right now. Arrow McLaren in the mix, maybe has pushed Andretti out of that big three. Those big three teams, Team Penske, Chip Ganassi Racing, and McLaren representing the top 5 cars in the championship.
Well, we had been away for a year. Hy-Vee, Penske Entertainment, so many others got everyone back together and brought a lot of friends like Mark Wahlberg and Gwen Stefani, 4 major acts, and we saw 2 excellent races. Joseph Newgarden won race 1, on the way to win race 2 before he hit the wall, and Pato O'Ward is able to take over. Don't forget, NASCAR is on USA right now. Congratulations, Pato O'Ward, the race 2 winner. For James Hinchcliffe, Townsend Bell, I'm Kevin Lee. Thanks for joining us on NBC.